Hello, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to what are we? We're technically week 4. We are now 4 weeks into the new season of the Bracket Show. I'm coming to you live on a special Friday night.
I know. It's throwing it. Everything's out of whack today. It's a Friday night. We're watching the March Madness on this one screen. We've got brackets going on over here.
So yes, if you hear random screaming from any of the panelists that seem a little out of context, that's why.
That's
it's
probably
March
what
Madness.
You know that Caitlin Clark was dropped.
Not only March Madness, it's Caitlin Clark and Paige time. It is the women's time. Like that's the men's team. Literally is physically here in Phoenix, and I'm like, I don't care. I want to watch the women's, I want to watch the women's games.
There you go.
But we're also joined by our usual panelists, Adam and Marisol. How are you?
We're doing great.
Doing quite well. You know, we are recently hydrated. So cheers to that.
Yes.
And yeah, I can't wait.
I
to
needed it this week.
I cannot wait to hear Caitlin Clark's take on Green Room.
No,
that's
we'll
the
right
secret
after
guest,
the
right?
game.
That's the
Yeah,
secret guest.
we'll phone her right after the game. Yeah.
Straight from the game to here.
And of course, we are joined by our special guest.
Our first special guest.
Yes, of the
Hey.
season. Jeffrey, how are you?
Honored to be invited, and
I mean,
I'm scared.
I thought that was Mara. We have Jeff.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So Mara is currently indisposed. She may join us.
It's a mystery.
She may join us. She may not. She does. We'll have fun. If she doesn't,
We'll still have
we'll
fun.
still have fun. We will miss her, but we are, of course. Let's just rip this band-aid off.
Oh no. Okay.
And start.
I'm scared.
First up, we have Burning versus Looper.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay.
Shit.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just gonna jump in while everyone has some time to think
All
here.
right.
I'm gonna put out a disclaimer. There's a couple of movies I haven't gotten around to seeing this week. When I blinked and this week was like gone.
Yeah.
So all the movies I had planned to watch to fill in the blank spaces, I unfortunately did not. So I'm sorry, Burning, but this has to go to Looper because I haven't seen Burning. But I do love Looper.
It would have taken a lot for
It would have taken a
Right.
lot to be like, I'm not voting for Looper. Long live Ryan Johnson. This is the Ryan Johnson house. At least this side of the house. I don't know.
Yes,
Okay.
Ryan Johnson, thank you very much.
I don't know. You have weird opinions sometimes.
Glass
so,
Onion's your worst movie. Jesus Christ.
Fair.
And that's that's
So Looper, absolutely, heck yes. I'm gonna leave it short and sweet. That's my vote.
All right, Adam.
I
Oh,
think you're
sorry.
muted.
We're muted.
Oh yeah, yep.
I got you.
Oh yes, no. The lady muted me. She knew where this was going. Sorry, I was tweeting out the show, making sure the good people of Planet Earth knew we were on the air. So Looper and Burning. So Burning, I did catch up with in the past week. We both did, and I can't wait to hear her take on this. So Looper was interesting because when it came out, I was so excited as a fan of Brick, to kind of see Ryan Johnson take that in a different direction. And it makes such a good double feature with Brick. You know, it is noirish, obviously. And, Joseph Gordon-Levitt crushes it in both movies. Looper has a lot of rewatchability. Burning, for me, was an interesting film from the outset in terms of style, score. I think Steven Yeun's the standout in terms of performance. I really liked his performance in it. I do think it at 2.5 hours, I started finding it a little ponderous for its own good, even though it was really well presented. So yeah, there were so many things that like got right up to the cusp for me with Burning that didn't quite like get to a point that really resonated with me. I found it interesting in a lot of ways. But Looper's something I've seen like at least like 2 or 3 times at this point. And while I don't think it's unimpeachable, I really like the concepts in it. I really think it's a well thought out movie, and I appreciate that it hasn't been spun off to death. There aren't a million sequels or TV shows about it. I think that's a good thing for the concept of Looper. But yeah, God, honestly, Burning has a lot of strengths. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. No pressure. But yeah, in the interest of efficiency, Looper. I'll vote for Looper.
All right, Marisol.
That was me reacting to the game. That wasn't me reacting to but this is wild, and I do have thoughts on this because I watched both of these movies this week. So I rewatched Looper. I've seen Looper many times. I saw Burning for the first time this week. This is a wild matchup. These are both an interesting matchup because these are both two great movies, I think, with a lot of flaws, and which just makes it really, really interesting to put them both against each other. Burning, I cannot stop thinking about. This is such a dense, interesting, what did I just watch kind of movie where you're chewing on it. It's so specific. It's so very deliberately, slowly paced. Yes, it is 2.5 hours. But I would tell everybody to watch Burning because even if you know the context of it is based on like this short story, classic novelist is based on Faulkner. Like it's based on all these great literary works, but you can't. I went into that completely not knowing it. So, but it's really confounding, but really fascinating. Looper is intensely interesting because it's bang, bang, bang sci-fi and it's Rian Johnson and it's really pulls you in. And I'm a Joseph Gordon-Levitt stan, so bias here, but
Jeff Daniels over here.
Sure. Somebody's got to be. But yeah. But so they're both, but Looper has so many holes in its sci-fi, it's like ridiculous. But it's also luridly entertaining. So it's really weird to match these two movies up together because one is so like slow and methodical and introspective and like abstract and symbolic, and the other one is just like in your face high concept sci-fi. So they match up a little closer than you think, but having seen them really freshly this week, I am going to go with Looper because I just like I really like the broader themes that Rian Johnson is playing with in Looper, and I love that weird ass prosthetic. I love that they tried to make Joseph Gordon-Levitt look like Bruce Willis. Someone in the makeup department was like, they were like, no way. Those guys were like, somebody in the makeup department was like, hold my beer. I got this. They were like, I got this. I'm going to make Joseph Gordon-Levitt look like Bruce Willis. God, so help me. I love that ambition, even though it's so distracting because he totally doesn't. And you could tell he's got all this crazy like makeup on him and like everything. And like his, like everything is like really intense and pulled on his face. But I'm going to go with Looper, though I think that everybody should really watch Burning because it'll really stick in your craw and it's really unsettling. I do think that it's interesting, but too long. But Looper.
Real quick before I apologize. I just wanted to say watching Burning reminded me of and I like Burning, but it reminded me of how much I like I Saw the Devil and how it's not in this bracket. So
nice job, Jake.
Got it. All right.
Continue. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, like Marisol said, I think everyone should at least watch Looper, Burning once. It's on Netflix right now, actually. It's very much a slow burn. It's very ambiguous in terms of some of its themes. But I think, Steven Yeun's really good. He skirts the line between, like, is he a good guy or does he have, like, a dark side behind him? It's really good. He probably should have been nominated, honestly. But yeah, I think Looper is definitely more rewatchable. I like just sci-fi that it explains like the basic rules, but then it doesn't hold your hand through the movie. It just lets you be immersed in the world. And it's a great cast. Emily Blunt, we didn't mention Paul Dano. Yeah, so I would also go Looper, even though that was already a given. That was gonna move. All
right. Well, with that, Looper moves on. We have our first win for the night.
Jacob, stop yelling at us.
All right, next up, ParaNorman versus Blue is the Warmest Color. Is there anyone here who has actually seen Blue is the Warmest Color?
I saw that it was 3 hours, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to have time for that.
Okay, I'm literally the only one who has seen this movie, and I saw it 10 years ago. Okay.
Good for you.
No, yeah, okay. Fair, and the stupid thing is I'm not voting for it. I'm voting for
Well, we're gonna ride that. All of us are gonna ride that.
Yeah, we're all just
5-0
that
sweep
one.
for ParaNorman.
Like, look, Blue is the Warmest Color is a interesting film that I get why it won the Palm. I get why I get all of that, but ParaNorman is just like the best kids movie. It's just so fucking awesome. Like, yeah, I just absolutely love it. So I'm going with ParaNorman. Has anyone else seen ParaNorman?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we don't see the other one.
Okay.
No one filled the gap of the other way except for
I
you.
just love that. That's the one. Like, I'm the one person in the world who
We
was.
thought Burning was
could have
long.
done is you could have taken Blue as the warmest color off this bracket list and put in I Saw the Devil.
Oh, this is gonna be a running theme.
We're gonna have to count how many times you guys
Alright.
said I Saw the Devil.
Well, it's
That
good
might be the fastest round that's ever
I
happened.
think it's good that that's the that was just the easy. All right, that's a nice quick one for
Oh
everyone.
no.
Yeah.
Because,
And it's not like a token win for ParaNorman's
No,
actually. Yeah.
ParaNorman's fantastic.
Exactly.
And it sounds like we're gonna get to talk about it more, right?
Yeah.
It also helps that it was 85 minutes and Blue is the Warmest
It's
Color
like
was
3
3
hours.
yeah, it really helps this week. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just
All
saying.
right.
Adam, I'm going to let you start and give
Oh,
you
boy.
the runway on this one. Shin Godzilla versus Nice Guys.
Okay, and that is, I would love to see that as the sequel to Shin Godzilla. I
Just
honestly think
Gosling.
if it was him versus Russell Crowe's character, that'd be a fight. That would be a fight. So the Nice Guys, that I feel like the Nice Guys is the most talked about movie where everyone thinks no one's seen it at this point, and they keep acting like no one's seen it, but everyone I talk to has seen it, and I'm like, can we just agree we've all seen The Nice Guys at this point? It's streaming everywhere. I saw it on a plane for the first time, and then I rewatched it immediately because it was super edited, and even edited, it was good. I really liked it. I'm a big fan of Matt Bomer. I really like his character in this, is like the cool, level-headed assassin. Really enjoy him. And yeah, Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling are excellent together. There's been clamoring for a sequel for years. Again, much like Looper, I don't need there to be an arbitrary sequel to things like this. I think what makes it special is that it is kind of singular, really funny. But let's get to Shin Godzilla. So Shin Godzilla is really, really awesome. And I want to plug it as hard as I can, depending on how this round goes, because if anyone hasn't seen Shin Godzilla, they need to go out and see it right now, especially if they liked or have any interest in Godzilla -1. It's a great double feature with Godzilla -1. And it was so awesome to see Godzilla -1 this year tackle all these like really like thoughtful. Yes. Thank you. Yes. I appreciate you.
Proceed.
Yeah. So long story short, Shin Godzilla, like every like serious Japanese Godzilla movie, starting with the original, tackles themes of its era. And when it comes to Shin Godzilla, it was tackling bureaucracy and you know, like political stagnation and things like that in the wake of a crisis. And what I like about it is how like clinical and serious it is, but also because of that, it's incredibly droll. There's a really great sense of humor to Shin Godzilla throughout the entire movie. The pacing of it is great. The opening act, you're literally watching like the prime minister's political cabinet move from conference room to conference room, which almost feels like a Monty Python bit. It's really, really clever. And then when it comes to the Godzilla stuff, it is awesome because it is just Godzilla as sheer spectacle. And what I really like about this movie is it has a limited budget. So did Godzilla -1, but Godzilla -1 honestly is a step up in terms of visuals. But what I appreciate about Shin Godzilla is how much it did with so little and how it created an iconic version of Godzilla when we already have so many. And this is a version of Godzilla that is in pain. He's just an angry creature. He's as much of a force of nature as I've ever seen him. And you see him do things in this that are like literally earth shattering. So I vote for Shin Godzilla. Absolutely. Let's keep talking about it, guys. Please tell me if someone else watched Shin Godzilla. Please.
Marisol.
Okay. That's not a good sign. No. I asked I offered a rhetorical question.
I have also seen Shin Godzilla, and I've seen The Nice Guys. I love about The Nice Guys is that it totally was. I think I know what you mean about I feel like whenever I'm on Twitter, I feel like there's a random tweet that pops up as that says this is the most underrated comedy of the 2010s. I was like you said, we all seen it. A lot of people have seen it at this point. It was. I do think it was. Oh my god.
there it is.
As we said, you are also getting a very live commentary to the Iowa versus Yukon game. That is
let's just give you context. 39 seconds left, 1 point game. Let's just give you some context here.
It's a lot closer than I think any of us had any belief that it would be on when
after
we decided,
that first half.
When we when we said, hey, let's do a stream at 8 o'clock on
No, this is one, folks. This is a Final Four game. No, this is one for the ages. So The Nice Guys, I think what's really big about it is that it was for a lot of people, it was Ryan Gosling's comedic coming out performance. I mean, maybe Crazy Stupid Love was maybe, but this was the one that people were like, oh my god, he's hilarious, and also it's the funniest Russell Crowe has ever been in anything ever.
I haven't seen The Pope's Exorcist. I hear that's hilarious.
except for virtuosity, unintentionally.
Oh, that movie's
except for unintentionally and virtuosity. But yeah, it's and their chemistry and their odd couple chemistry in it. I get it, and it's Shane Black. Shane Black seems to be either hot or cold with everybody. He's either hot with the Nice Guys or cold with the Predator. He's either he's hot, hit or miss, but he was a real hit with the Nice Guys, and there's a lot of great elements in The Nice Guys. It is, I always recommend it. It's one of the most breezy, effortless thriller, crime detective, comedy noirs totally of the 2010s. It's a very special movie. Shin Godzilla, though, is also a very special movie. And it is unique. Not that I've seen all of the Godzilla movies. You've seen so many more than I have. But Shin Godzilla is, if you are remotely a fan of Godzilla, it is unlike anyone you will have seen. It's so creepy and unnerving as to how feral. You will never have seen Godzilla like this in any other movie. He's so feral and just, he's a nuclear, just pure force of nature. He doesn't even have a personality in this. He's just a destructive force. And all the things you're saying, the satire about bureaucracy, a lot of Dr. Strangelove energy in Shin Godzilla, a lot of Dr. Strangelove energy in it. And I think that Shin Godzilla is, when you compare the two, both great movies, both extremely different, but I'm going to give Shin Godzilla the edge here actually in this one, because I think it is so cool, especially after Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, the American Godzilla came out in 2014, to see one of the coolest, most unique versions of Godzilla we had ever seen from the Japanese side in forever, in a very long time. I think that Shin Godzilla says a lot, and I think it has a little more staying power when you look at it as like a cultural artifact, as an artifact of the time, saying something about the time, but also being like a scary, incredibly earth-shattering monster movie like Godzilla Minus One. What Godzilla Minus One does, I think that Shin Godzilla taps into, even though it's a lot more clinical. So that's my pick. But Nice Guys is awesome.
I love you.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I'm going with Nice Guys.
I said it.
I think it is definitely Gosling at one of his best performances. Probably best we've seen out of Russell Crowe. Their chemistry is unexpectedly awesome. That's just not something I would have thought of as like a casting partnership that would have worked as well as it did. They play off each other so well. It's a movie I revisit all the time, just because it is so solid. It's funny. The humor always works for me. It's a really cool mystery film, and it's really cool in terms of like production design and costuming. Like, I just think overall it's really solid. So I'm going with the Nice Guys.
Khan?
So Jacob, you might be the deciding vote, because I am going Nice Guys as well. Unfortunately, especially for Adam, I have not seen Shin Godzilla. I should probably, after how much I loved Minus One. But yeah, I just
There's
love the
still
nice guys.
time before the end of the show.
Yes, I got you.
You can watch it and change your vote.
Yeah, you have 2 screens on for basketball. I should have 2 screens on and playing Shin Godzilla. But yeah, the nice guys is endlessly quotable. I just love saying stuff like I had to question the mermaids. I love Angori Rice's performance in the nice guys as well as Gosling daughter. She's so good. Yeah, and a vote for the nice guys is also a vote for Ethan Irwin.
True.
So there you go.
It is.
It's unfortunate because the deciding vote goes to someone who's not the biggest Godzilla person. Because
you don't want to hear what he has to say about you either, Blunden.
I was pulling out a weapon as we speak.
Yeah, I really liked -1. That's really where I'm about it on Godzilla. I've never really been big giant monster. I've never been a kaiju person at all. I don't like the legendary ones. I still haven't even seen the new one. So
what about Shin Godzilla, buddy?
Yeah,
I like Shin Godzilla. I think Shin Godzilla is a good movie.
Okay,
I'm just The Nice Guys is awesome. The Nice Guys is just I really love, and again, it's one of those ones where I'm not a massive Shane Black person either. But this one works. This one really works. So with that, sorry, Adam, but The Nice Guys does move through.
What am I, chopped liver over here? What you apologize? Okay, all right.
Hey, you got your movies last week. Adam his one today, and yours went.
All right, everybody, go watch this movie.
I do.
There you go.
Fantastic.
I do have it down there somewhere. Yes. I do own the Blu-ray down there somewhere. All right, next up.
Oh God.
The Hunger Games Catching Fire versus Easy A.
What the heck? Okay.
Better be quick.
Han, I will start with you.
Start with me. Okay. So yeah, I rewatched Catching Fire a couple of days ago. It is still the best Hunger Games movie, but I forgot how long it takes before you actually get to the Hunger Games. It's an hour 20 minutes before you get to the actual Hunger Games in a 2.5-hour movie. So there's definitely pacing issues with Catching Fire, but it's still a decent movie. But it doesn't beat Easy A. Easy A, another endlessly quotable one for me. I love this. I like the Emma Stone kind of breakout was with Easy A, and then just memorable scenes, memorable lines. Her singing "Pocketful of Sunshine" after hating it originally. There's so many good parts of Easy A. Stanley Tucci and Patricia Clarkson I didn't even mention as maybe the best parents in a movie ever. So yeah, this is Easy A.
Taylor?
Yeah, this one's an interesting one. I will say that one of the most memorable comedy movie scenes for me is when they're all in the kitchen and he's like, "I'm adopted." He's like, "Oh my God, who told you you're adopted?" And it's like, okay, this is peak. This is some good fun comedy. They're such a fun family. I love Emma Stone. She's one of my favorite actresses out there. Revisiting Easy A, don't love it. Don't love it.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Surprise!
Going back and rewatching it, don't love Amanda Bynes in it the way I used to. I just think there's something weird about her character that the casting doesn't quite work for me. And I'm not sure I love the way they go about doing their own version of the Scarlet Letter. Something about it just feels ick to me, and I don't know why when I rewatch it now. Parts of it just feel, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain why it doesn't resonate with me anymore. And I love the Hunger Games franchise. I burned through all of the books in one day, and then reread them. And I think all the movies are great. Come at me, I don't care. I think they're all great. But Catching Fire is the best of them for sure. Best directing, best pacing, best cinematography, all of it is the peak of the series. So I'm going with Catching Fire.
Marisol is very excited about you.
My bracket is set. I call the championship. I called it Iowa versus South Carolina. I called the Hunger Games that much.
And thus concludes the basketball commentary.
I was applauding Taylor's take. I was also applauding Taylor's take.
And,
for those in the chat that are not paying attention, Iowa is through to the big game.
Yep.
By the skin of their teeth.
They had to earn it. They came back.
Her worst game.
UConn was ahead a lot.
Yeah, well, in probably her worst game that I've seen her
I
play,
think
at least.
statistically they said it's her worst March Madness game.
UConn had her shut out in the first.
Anyway, catching fire.
Marisol, I am going to go to you now, actually.
Okay. I liked hearing Con and Taylor. I like hearing like two sides of the coin before I make my decision. This is a very easy decision for me.
She's leaving.
I'm leaving.
I think she's getting a visual aid.
That's how it lasted, yeah.
A visual aid happening.
Cool.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
We love it.
Where's the one about the snakes and the canaries and all that stuff?
No,
You're-
no.
What's that called?
No, I didn't
Songbirds and stuff.
want
okay,
Ballad of
yes.
Songbirds and Snakes. This
I'm
is
with it.
definitely the best Hunger Games movie, I think, even though they've all been pretty solid. I think the first and the second are the best, and the second one is the best. I kind of know what you're saying, Con, about it like taking a while to get to the Hunger Games but there was also a lot going on behind the scenes. I think that this fleshes out the world the best and then raises the stakes by the time we do get to the second Hunger Games, so it doesn't kind of feel like a retread. I think this is the best form of like sequelitis, where you do take the source material and actually make it feel bigger in the second movie. I have to say about Easy A, I have to say this about it. Taylor, what you're describing, the word for that is phony. I think like that's what I feel about is phony with Easy A. I feel a lot of it. I don't feel any authenticity whenever I watch Easy A. I feel like Con, you're right. I will single out that Pocket Full of Sunshine montage. Love it. I love that montage. It's one of the funniest in the whole movie, one of the funniest scenes in the whole movie. But I feel very phony. Nothing feels like it's actually real. Like you compare Easy A to something like Mean Girls, and Mean Girls feels like a documentary compared to like Easy A. I don't feel like anybody is actually talking like high schoolers. I don't feel like everybody looks like they're 28. Like it's just, it doesn't feel it. Nothing of it feels like this situation is so far-fetched. I don't ever feel like it would ever actually happen. It's stretched a little too thin, like a little too implausibly to try to filter the Scarlet Letter story onto this high school story. And it doesn't quite work. I'm with you, Taylor. Easy A it has never really hit for me. I still don't think it does. And this is the best Hunger Games movie. So this is an easy Hunger Games pick for me. I'm just saying.
Adam?
So Easy A, I agree with the points laid out thus far. In terms of it having a real ceiling, with regard to its subject matter. Honestly, I just think there's been this trend for years to adapt Shakespeare in fun ways, and I think the reason that is so successful is because we've had so much time away from Shakespeare, and there's ways to adopt those stories in very universal ways. And they thought that would be the same because the Scarlet Letter is super old. But when you take
all read it in high school.
When you take something that's a scathing indictment of puritanical society and you turn it into a fun rom-com, it if you know the source material, it feels weird. And it's like it doesn't fully translate. However, what I will say about Easy A is I enjoyed it more than I expected because I went in feeling like it was going to be nothing but trite. And the thing that elevated it for me just a smidge is the cast is great. Like Thomas Hayden Church. So good to see him finally break out in this movie. No,
Oh yeah. Hello, you're neglecting Spider-Man 3, and that's offensive.
Yes.
All right.
And then they reunited kind of in No Way Home. Not really.
He wasn't there.
He was technically credited. He made money. But Easy A is just it's frustrating. And I'm not a big Hunger Games guy by any stretch of the imagination. And I went into those movies with a chip on my shoulder. I'm like, I don't like this. This is not going to be for me. And I like Battle Royale. And then I watched the first Hunger Games. Like, this is pretty good. And then the second one, like you all said, what's awesome is the world is set up. They get to run with it. And that's why that second one is so fun to watch. And I also just like seeing the way Katniss is settling into her role and how weird it all is to her. Mm-hmm. Catching Fire is my vote.
Yeah, my favorite acting from Jennifer Lawrence in the whole series is in Catching Fire.
Yeah, when they do her up in the little parade, and
Yeah.
she's like, "What the hell?"
She can do the
what is
best.
this?"
Yeah.
I'll be quick, but yeah, no, I'm also going for Catching Fire, and I don't quite dislike Easy A as much as some others. I think Khan and I are the two that are like a little higher on Easy A. I'm shocked how much you didn't like Easy A. But I Catching Fire, I think is, as someone who generally isn't a massive fan of the first Hunger Games movie, doesn't like the last two, this is the one where it's like, oh, this is really good.
You mean the last two, as in
the
two Mockingjays.
The two Mockingjays. And Catching Fire is just such a strong film. Even just a standalone, like, cool. Here is, you're right. They're able to do so much with world building. I think also it really helps that Francis Lawrence is a better director than Gary Ross. Like, I just think that him coming in, at least in this world, I'll get like.
Don't you dare insult Will Gluck in this house.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, I was meaning over Gary Ross for the first time.
I know.
But I think that at least in this world, he is, and being able to come in and really take advantage of of just the complete utter, like, I guess, trauma of going through the first one and then being flung straight back in. I find that very interesting. I find the cliffhanger interesting. There's scenes in this one that I think the actual, just before she goes into the games with
Lenny Kravitz.
Cinna?
Yeah, Lenny.
Cinna.
Yeah. As she's going up, is just one of those, like, heartbreaking, oh my god, just exhilarating. Like, it just really ups the tension going into the games. There's so much about this movie that I just think works. If it was going up against any of the other Hunger Games, it would be easy, but this one, it's just there's a reason.
It's also easy against Easy A, is it not?
There's a reason why this is the only Hunger Games that made the bracket. So all right, moving on. Hunger Games Catching Fire makes it through to the next round. Next up, 21 Jump Street versus Only the Brave. Taylor, I'm going to give you a little bit of runway with this one.
Why?
Because I know one of these movies you really love.
Thanks. I enjoy both of these movies. We've talked about 21 Jump Street and kind of why we like it, so I'm going to kind of talk about Only the Brave. Only the Brave is a really tough movie to watch. I don't know. Has anyone else on the panel actually seen it?
I did not get to it, unfortunately.
No? Okay. You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. So for those who don't know, it's based on a true story. And it's based on a true story about a group of firefighters from here in Arizona. And I vividly remember, like, this actually happening because it happened in June of 2013. And I remember, like, hearing the news stories because Prescott is like an hour and a half up the road from where we are physically, like, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember this story actually happening and just, like, the community devastation and the ripple effect through the entire state. And aside from that, I think the film does a really, really great job of actually telling you the story and getting you to invest emotionally in the characters. And it doesn't just use those cheap kind of things that some movies use to, like, try and get your emotions but not really earn it. I feel like this movie really earns those emotions that it gets from you. And I think I would recommend that everyone check it out if you haven't. Like, it is an emotionally heavy movie because it's very tragic and it's very upsetting. But I think it's a great movie. It took me a couple of years to get around to watching it because I knew it was going to be tough to get through. But I'm definitely going to give my vote to Only the Brave just because as much as I enjoy 21 Jump Street and I think it's fun, I think it's a great comedy movie, this one is just, like, personal for me on a different level.
Adam.
Yeah, so we've talked about the Jump Street movies like disproportionate amount. I feel like Jump Street and John Wick have dominated the bracket somehow.
And they haven't even won. They haven't even won.
And they all lost. Yeah.
So 21 Jump Street, funny. Thought it was going to be. Frankly, I thought it was going to be dog shit when they announced it. I was like, I don't care. Like, yeah. Like I remember 21 Jump Street being a punchline in A Night at the Roxbury. Okay.
Wow.
Like Richard Grieco is playing himself as a joke in that movie.
Mhm.
And Chris Kattan's like, you meeting Johnny Depp here or what? Like they got nothing to say about that show other than so 21 Jump Street, way funnier than it has any business to be. It is making fun of the show, but it's also going beyond that. It's making fun of cop comedies in a really good way, in a more clever way than some other cop comedies that we might talk about at some point. So, Only the Brave, Taylor.
Yes.
Taylor. I saw this movie a week ago.
Ooh.
Okay.
I've been wanting to see it for a while. This cast is stacked. This is totally like something like I've wanted to seek out. And then you guys gave me a chance to prioritize it. So I watched it. And what I got to say about this movie is when you have a cast like this, you know, what you usually are wrestling with is like giving everyone a moment to, or any time to like really like gestate and shine and then like do something like with that talent. And this is such a balanced movie. It's a little over 2 hours. The pacing is so good. It flows by. And I gotta say, like, this is based on a true story, like Taylor said, a very true story. And I think about like people who love the movie Armageddon, and I think about how this kicks Armageddon's ass. Like seriously, like you take like this ensemble of I know, low bar, right?
No. Kicked Armageddon's ass that year.
I'm not talking about.
All right, but
Who would win in a fight, the cast of Armageddon or the cast of Only the Brave?
It's cool.
You interrupt me again?
No.
All right, so-
Cheers, I'm sorry.
All right, so with Only the Brave, the thing I like about it, the reason I bring up Armageddon is because it sets up an ensemble, and there are some cliche beats. There are some beats where I'm like, okay, all right, writers, you're having but it works. Like, and the reason why it works is because there's so much genuine like human storytelling in this movie. Miles Teller playing another lovable fuck up as usual, like a really
he's got a type.
Oh my god, yes. But he's like, I was mad at him at the beginning of this movie, and again, like he just won me over with his performance. Josh Brolin. My god, I love the man. I really do. Like I seek out a lot of Josh Brolin's movies just because I like the guy. And what I didn't expect in this movie was how good he and Jennifer Connelly would be together, because they are one of the couples. Like their scenes together in this movie are staggeringly good. Like they have so many great relatable scenes as a couple that whether you're married and unmarried, like whatever your status is, I guarantee you there's something you'll relate to with the way they converse with each other. I was really affected by this movie, and not in a way like where I'm claiming like it's the best film I've ever seen, but I watched this movie and I was like, my parents need to see this movie. And I have this, what I do is my parents, like I just make things easy for them. I keep them signed in on my Apple account in Ohio, and I just add a rental to their account when I want to force them to watch something. So I was like, hey, I added Only the Brave to your account. Watch it. And they watched it that night. And my mom texted me with all these like crying emojis. She's like, oh,
yeah, there you go.
So, okay. Only the Brave by a landslide. I really like this movie.
Okay.
All right. So thanks for, I just had like, it's very fresh. Okay.
Emotions are raw.
Is it? It was so good.
Marisol?
It was so genuine. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be pretty simple for me. This is 1 week where I haven't seen one of these movies. I have not seen Only the Brave. 21 Jump Street is kind of what you were saying. So cool for a movie that had zero expectations, was almost like a laughable pre-existing like IP, and then came out and was like this really fun like comedy hit. And I do think 21 Jump Street is very funny. I like it more than the second one. I do think that it's very funny, but So here's where my ruling comes in here. I haven't seen Only the Brave, but just simply of these testimonies alone, when a movie based on something in real life comes along and it really, really nails it, like when it's on like a United 93 kind of level that it hits, and that sounds like what Only the Brave is, like from what you guys are talking about. That's sue me. This is where my rating curves comes in. That's so much more culturally important and impactful than like, oh, that was a funny comedy based on a stupid TV show that nobody cared about. Like, you know, like I just like, for me, I'm just like, all right. And for me, even without having seen Only the Brave, I do find 21 Jump Street funny, but if I never saw it again for the rest of my life, I'd be okay. Like, you know, and Only the Brave, even though I haven't seen it, what you guys have said is impactful enough. I'm still gonna vote for it, even though I haven't seen it. My rules, I can do whatever the hell I want. My rules, I'm gonna vote for it, even though I do like 21 Jump Street. But just by what you guys are talking about, I think I would have loved and probably voted for Only the Brave more if I had seen it. So.
Con?
My rules.
These are two very similar movies, Jacob. Here's a dumb comedy against a really serious true story. I also have not seen Only the Brave. I probably should, just because of the subject matter. And clearly, you know, some of the cast liked working with was it Joseph Kosinski? For Top Gun Maverick. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll pick 20 Drums.
Come on, Con. Come on.
Which one? Who?
Tron Legacy. Let's go. Hello.
Obviously.
The emotional, stirring film that was Tron Legacy. Let's go.
Obviously. Well, since Only the Brave's already won, I'll just vote for 21 Jump Street because it is the one I have seen. It's funny, and I think hearing more people talk about it, I think Lord and Miller really thrive when they are given zero to no like low expectations. They really they're really good when people don't think the movies are going to be good. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Lego movie, they're really
Cloudy with a Chance. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yes.
They're very good. When people think they're going to be bad,
but they haven't done a movie since Part 2. Like since Lego Part 2, they haven't.
I think they probably transitioned into like producing and writing.
Yeah, they produced a lot.
Yeah, I mean they were meant to do a movie, and then they were, kicked off it. But
we won't talk about that. But yeah,
a whole other tangent for a whole other day.
Well, Marisol, I'm glad that you did vote for it because I would have also probably voted for Only the Brave. I'm not a big 21 Jump Street fan. Like I used to be, and rewatching the movies going into this bracket, I kind of just went, this comedy has aged. This isn't as funny as I thought it was originally. I've been saying this for, outside of one legendary joke in the second movie, these movies are relatively okay for me. Like that's what they are now. Like they're fun.
Well, the good news is, folks, now you have time to watch Only the Brave.
There you go.
So with that,
I'll watch it before the next bracket.
Jacob, I got a Star subscription on Prime just for this bracket show. Okay?
He's going to be billing you back.
He's not joking.
That's how I thought Disobedience, Only the Brave, and Pain and Glory.
Wow, nice. All right. Well, next up, we have the only documentary in the entire bracket.
Yep.
Free Solo versus Cold War.
What a coincidence.
Weird.
What?
No, I watched both of these movies for the first time this week.
Oh, nice.
Weird.
We were just talking about rock Poland. That's why.
Yeah, we did. We did say we wish we could have rock climbed during World War II. So yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Marisol, I am going to start with you if you watch both of these this week.
Okay. All right. It's fresh. Mama got thoughts. This is wild. This is wild to compare these two. I first off, I didn't even know documentaries were allowed in this, because how do you compare real life narratives versus complete fiction?
Okay, I agree. It got in and out about 50 times. I was so conflicted on adding this freaking movie, and I just
it deserves to be here though.
More documentaries, Jacob. More doc.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna put more documentaries.
You did it.
No, don't make this any more difficult.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But yeah. So when you're talking about real life, Free Solo is watch these both for the first week. So these are fresh within a week, like reflections of this. Free Solo is, I wish I had seen this in IMAX. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Dude.
Holy shit.
Oh.
The cinematography, the camera work, especially when they show in the movie that Jimmy Shin, the guy who directed this, and his wife, I can't remember her name because she wasn't in the movie.
Elizabeth, I
but
think. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Jimmy Chin was actually in the movie. Like, they were filming him like hanging off a mountain, filming a guy climbing a mountain. So like that's like, I'm like, that's telling you what you're dealing with in this movie. It's the depth, like the lengths they went to film this. They were literally hanging off the mountain with this guy, filming him climbing this mountain while hanging on to nothing. So this movie will make you feel like, this will make all of us, 99.8% of us out there who don't climb mountains in our free time, feel like mice. Like, we'll be like, what are we doing with our life? We're not climbing a mountain like this guy. It captures the scope of what it takes. I love the layers of like showing, like, specifically bringing the awareness of making a documentary. There's a part in this film, there's a big part of this film where you're like, no, I can't climb this mountain because I'm aware that a documentary crew is filming me climbing this mountain. And I find that a very fascinating way to like look into it. Free Solo is also very messy because this guy is very impenetrable personality wise. And they tried, Free Solo is a little inconsistent because like, it's amazing that this guy's doing this physical thing, but also they try to flesh him out by giving him like a personal life. And this guy is like, definitely.
How do we put this nicely?
yeah. How do I put this delicately? Like, this guy is definitely not interested in engaging with other human beings, like in any kind of way. And so the documentary tries to force him engaging with other human beings, and he's like, I don't care if I die. I don't need my girlfriend. so like girlfriend's like, why don't you love me? And so I feel like they try to pad the documentary out with some interesting human drama that you got to pay attention to your subject in a documentary. And this subject does not care about, the subject is so focused on his goal of climbing a mountain, he doesn't care about really human interaction, but they try to force him caring about human interaction. So that makes Free Solo a slightly awkward to watch, because I was on the mountain climber side. I was like, yeah, who needs a girlfriend? Climb a mountain. Like, I was like, yeah.
But I'm here too.
She's like, what about us buying a home? And I was like, who cares about buying a home?
Climb that mountain.
But so that's one of the things I feel like a little imbalanced about Free Solo, even though the parts where it's just about like him trying to tackle this mountain and do something that nobody has ever done on the planet, literally ever, and is a single mistake equals death, is exhilarating. And Free Solo is fantastic for that. On the other hand, you've got Cold War, which is, I think, so we were talking about this in our Oscar video when we talked about, we think that a lot of movies more often or not are doing black and white a little bit like incidentally, and just filming things in black and white. I'm looking at, frankly, some movies I've seen in the last few years. I'm looking at Come On. I'm looking at Belfast. I'm looking at parts of Maestro. I'm looking at things that filming things in black and white, not necessarily with something to say in black and white. And Cold War, I will say this, Cold War is one of the most stark, one of the most beautiful films of the 2010s I can think of, that astoundingly uses the visual language of shooting a film, the photography of using it in black and white to tell a beautiful visual story. I was hooked. I would literally pause the movie just to look at a shot in this movie. It was so beautiful. The other thing I will say about it, which I will hold against it, is that this movie is tragically short. This movie is a love story about two people, but it feels like the editing is so breakneck that I don't feel an emotional attachment enough that I wanted to so badly in this movie. I think this movie is crazy too short. I think this movie could easily have been half an hour longer, and I think would have been I would have easily picked it over Free Solo. But now it's neck and neck, because I think that everybody should watch Cold War and should watch Free Solo for very different reasons. But I don't know which one I would pick against each other, because they both have incredible strengths, but also, like I just said, weird weaknesses. But if you twist my arm and I have to pick, because I have to pick one, I am going to go with Cold War, because this is, oh, wait, no. Because both of them are doing something that I think is exemplary in terms of filmmaking, in terms of using your camera to tell a story. Oh, fuck.
You're getting a glimpse inside Marisol's mind right now.
Why did you pick me first, Jacob? What are you doing?
Have you heard yourself talk? Because they're fresh.
It's riveting.
It's cool. We're watching you figure this out in real time. Yeah. Wait, okay, can you come back to me now?
Yeah, all right, I will.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Come back to me. I want to hear what the panel.
All right, you got it.
Hear what the panel thinks.
Okay, I'll go real quick.
These are deadlocked for me. I'm just saying.
I saw both of these in a theater.
Yes.
I saw and both of them not knowing anything going in, actually. Yeah. So I saw Cold War. I really love Cold War. I think Cold War is a great movie. I think it's fantastic. Free Solo was one of the most exhilarating experiences I've had in a theater, because here is the other big thing. I didn't know he lived. That's the other big thing that you know, that going in, that's hard now, because it was like when we saw it, it was pre-Oscars. It was pre-everything.
You thought he might die.
It's hard now, like sitting there the entire time going, does this guy die? Like just straight up thinking, are they going? Is this guy going to die? And and like compare that to say like something like with like Fire with Love or Love with Fire, like that
Fire of Love.
Yeah, Fire of Love. That one where it's just and you said, oh, I watched this, and I was like, oh, okay, so they make it. I was like, no.
Yeah,
that's the opposite.
Actually,
that's the opposite.
I was like, oh. Okay, so you do film that and we'll release it when they just die. And like Free Solos was just one of the best, most exhilarating, terrifying theater experiences I have ever had, just sitting there the entire time going, this guy's gonna die. I am going to watch a death on screen. And that's so I'm gonna go with Free Solo just for that. It's just one of the best theater experiences I've ever had. So Khan, I'll go with you.
There are matchups where I've seen both movies, but this is not one of them. This is the last of the movies I have not seen. I have not seen Cold War. But I feel like even if I had, I would be hard pressed to pick it over Free Solo. It's just the cinematography in Free Solo is freaking jaw dropping. Plus, I also have a somewhat kind of personal connection to Free Solo. My sister went to the same college as Jimmy Chin, and she actually met him for his, I think, the documentary that he did after this, The Rescue. And so so because of that, and because Free Solo is just amazing to look at as a spectacle, so I'll pick Free Solo.
Okay.
Yeah, so I loved Cold War as well. We went into it, like you said, not knowing anything about it, and I really loved it. I was super happy and surprised when it got Oscar nominations for director and cinematography. Like that was one of my favorite unexpected things that happened that year. Free Solo, listen, for someone who has a crippling fear of heights, crippling. Like we go to the second story of the mall and I'm like, if you put me towards the railing, I will kill you. Like don't make me look at anything. So seeing this on a giant screen was the best worst experience of my life, basically. This movie is so gorgeous and so fascinating for so many reasons that have been laid out, but the one thing that sticks with me always when I think about this movie or when I'll like rewatch scenes from it is the fact that you see the crew in real time grappling with the fact that they may have to film their friend dying and grappling with the morality of, do we even do that? Like, do we film it? If we film it, do we release it? Like, how do you make those decisions, even as a documentary filmmaker, when you know those things could possibly happen? And watching them try to figure out how they feel with it, how they feel about it, how they navigate that was so fascinating to me. And like was mentioned, the fact that he has to grapple with trying to not let that mess with his mindset. The fact he has to bail out on one of his attempts because he just knows that his mind isn't in the right place with the crew filming and with just not feeling, right about it. it's truly one of the most astonishing things that a human has accomplished. Like when you really think about like I just don't even understand how he survived. Like my brain doesn't compute like the fact that he actually did this. And like it blows my mind every time I think about it. Alex Honnold is so fascinating. After this movie came out, I actually watched like him do some of the press for the film and like do some of the podcasts and stuff that he went on. His mind is so fascinating. Like just to hear the way that he thinks about things. And I follow him and his now wife on Instagram. They're adorable. Their 2 kids are adorable. They are so fun. Like I feel like he's grown a lot as a human being.
They had babies.
That's incredible. That's
Hey, it's a happy ending.
Now.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was about to dump her right after the credits.
They're so cute. She clearly balances him out, and like they just had their second baby. They're adorable. I love them. But anyway, yeah, this movie, like I walked out of it and I was like, I kind of want to throw up in the best and worst way, just because when it pulls back the first time and you see the scale of the fucking wall that he climbed, and then you get the upward like angle view when he's like just hanging off it, I'm like, I would literally pass out just like standing next to this wall. Anyway, that was me ranting about Free Solo. You're welcome.
So you
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Adam.
Free Solo makes the opening of Mission Impossible 2 look even stupider.
I'm doing this, right?
It's totally me.
Yeah.
Um,
Tom Cruise wishes.
yeah.
All right.
So right out of the gate, Cold War was one of the movies I couldn't catch up with this week. I will, but correct me if I'm wrong. This is a best documentary versus a best international feature
Nominee.
Same year.
Cold War didn't win.
Roma
was that year.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't win. Yeah. And another phenomenal black and white picture.
Okay.
We're talking about in a couple of weeks.
All right. So I'm gonna catch up with Cold War, even regardless.
You should.
But it was fun to finally see Free Solo. I saw it this week as well, and look, undeniably compelling to see someone go through this. I do agree with what you said. As happy as I am for their offspring and their happiness, at the time, within the context of the documentary, I feel like they shoehorned in the relationship a little more than was necessary. Not because it's not relevant to who he is as a person, but in terms of the focus of the film, it felt like it conflicted with what was the priority of the movie, and I felt like they were manufacturing a little bit of the tension. Not he and Sonny, but the filmmakers to an extent. And I'm not saying it makes the film disingenuous. It made me feel conflicted because I was focused on his goal, and every time they would take a detour with the relationship, I'm like, yes, I relate to this as a human being who's been in relationships. I get it. However, this guy's doing something I'll never be able to do. And also like you just got to give him a little bit of leeway because she literally met him at an event where he's talking about what he does for a living.
Yeah.
She knew from the get-go he risks his life on a regular basis. He lives in a van. And she's like, I'm gonna move into the van.
I'm gonna change him.
And you know what? Now she had his baby. So look, credit.
And maybe she did. All right, look, maybe she did.
But I gotta say, for our boy, our boy Alex seemed a little sociopathic. Which honestly,
you kind of are when you're.
He literally said your amygdala doesn't work, and he's like, "Yeah, cool. That's why I'm doing it." It's like, okay. But it's so impressive. You pointed out to me that the filmmakers went on to do Naiad this past year.
They did.
And I really liked Naiad. I really liked it because it was just a straight shot down the middle. Like, this is the story, no frills. And I really appreciated Naiad in terms of its focus. And that's why I like Free Solo as well.
Like Free Solo because it's showing how many times you fail to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Yes, like all those frustrating like stops and starts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to vote for Free Solo, not just because I haven't seen Cold War, but because I do appreciate everything it accomplished. I'll be interested to see what it goes up against.
All right.
All right.
Martha?
Well, who cares at this point?
I just
Made your job easy.
So I'll use Mara reasoning here, and since everybody said free solo, and I
The Wolf Man.
It's just he couldn't help it.
So here's the thing: if you really if you held a gun to my head, don't. But if you did, I probably would have picked free solo because, like we said, this is the uniqueness of this is a person in real life doing something. Like this is real life.
Yeah.
This is not us playing pretend and pretending that we're looking back at World War II. Blah 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 blah. Not that that needs to happen, but this is us. No, we're literally showing somebody climbing a mountain without hanging on to anything. The uniqueness of that would push that over the edge. Whatever critiques you would have about the documentary, the way they choose to present in the documentary, the fact that it brought something to the table that none of us had seen and were able to experience and live vicariously through this man, that is singular, that experience. But since everybody voted for it, I'm gonna vote for. I'm gonna vote for Cold War because Cold War is a fucking beautiful movie. I just like Roma. It's crazy that it went up against Roma.
Yeah.
It's crazy because those two. I talk about Roma all the time. How I think that is some of the most gorgeous, light encapsulating black and white photography I've seen in years.
I mean, really gonna have to rewatch it before next week.
Oh fuck! You better.
Wow, that's
you better. And the fact that it went up, Cold War came out the same year, and I think Cold War deliberately shot in black and white. It's shot in black and white with something to say about shooting in black and white, and it's so deliberate the way that the lighting is chosen, the way the light filters through dark images. And the starkness of the contrast, I just think that it's just so beautiful. I really hope people see it, even though they'll probably be really, really fucking frustrated with how short it is, and how truncated the romance is between the two main characters. You're still gonna feel a lot of harrowing, depression and shit, when you watch it. But yeah, so I'm gonna just give the vote to Cold War because Cold War is a great movie with a really couple clear flaws, but it's a beautiful movie. So free solo, go ahead, free solo, climb that mountain, get on.
All right, next up, I'm fascinated by this one.
Yeah.
Logan Lucky versus Django Unchained.
What
the heck?
Okay.
I guess they both take place in the South.
You can't. I'm gonna start with you.
Oh man, I don't know. This is probably the closest one so far for me. I like both of these films. Logan Lucky kind of riffing on the whole Ocean's 11 thing that Soderbergh already did, but I think bringing something fresh and unique to it. I love Daniel Craig doing whatever he's doing in Logan Lucky. But I think at the end of the day, I'll vote Django Unchained just because there's more memorable stuff in it for me, especially I think DiCaprio, who was robbed of an Oscar that year. Just everything with him, his ability to just hold the camera and deliver monologues is unparalleled, especially in Django Unchained. So I'll go Django Unchained by a hair.
I'm gonna be the weird one. I'm gonna go early. I'm gonna be the weird one. Everyone loves Leo's performance, and Leo's performance is phenomenal. I'm one of the few people in the world who goes, Christoph Waltz 100% deserved that Oscar. 100% for Django Unchained. I think he is incredible in Django Unchained. And I love Christoph Waltz playing against type. I love all of it. I think this movie is half an hour too long. I really basically hate everything that happens in the entire third act of this movie. After a certain character gets shot onwards, I just think it overstays its welcome by at least half an hour. I think it kind of retreads the same ground. It doesn't really do anything that's it's trying to say anything different. It's kind of you could have just shortened it, put it all there, and it would have been the exact same thing for me. And you wouldn't have gotten the god awful Tarantino Aussie.
No, that's true.
God awful one. So, with that said, Logan Lucky, I just have so much fun with this movie. And like, I think it's just because, it's the Soderbergh Oceans movies. Like, I just kind of have a lot of fun with that aspect of it. I really love Adam Driver. I really love Channing Tatum in this, but I love Daniel Craig. This was the like, okay, Daniel Craig is very clearly having the time of his life doing this movie. So yeah, I'm gonna go Logan Lucky. I love this movie so freaking much. So yeah.
I'm just gonna riff off you there because Logan Lucky is like if you took my vibe and like put it into a movie, like there you go, there it is. I think Channing Tatum and Adam Driver have great chemistry to play off each other in this movie. I think the comedy works really well for both of them and both of their styles comedically. Like you said, Daniel Craig has so much fun in this movie. I feel like this was like the inspiration point for his like Knives Out accent workshopping it. Like this is kind of where it started, and then we got the glorious stuff we get now. But this movie is just so much fun. The ensemble is having a great time. They all bounce off of each other so well. And it's something that's super rewatchable for me. I love just putting it on and having fun with it. Again, as I mentioned a lot of times, comedy doesn't work for me a lot of the time. This one just really hits. Django Unchained is a really good movie. The performances are great, but I literally have only seen it once and then been like, I don't need to watch this again. I'm good. Thank you so much. Logan.
Adam.
Wow. Well, Django Unchained. I give Tarantino a lot of latitude personally. When it comes to his movies, whether he directs them or writes them, I kind of get on his wavelength for better or worse, and I really just kind of enjoy meandering around with him. So like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a movie I didn't love the first time I saw it, but I've seen it like 5 times now, and I still don't think it's like a 5-star film, but I like it more because the more time I've spent with those characters, the more time I like, the more I enjoy that movie. Django Unchained is similar. Coincidentally, I've seen it fewer times than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I should watch it again. But what I like about it is, he's done 2 Westerns now, and this was the action one. The other one was his play. And that's what I like about Hateful Eight is that it's a play.
We'll get to Hateful Eight.
Yeah. But Django Unchained is cool because it's very sweeping. We know how influenced he is by spaghetti westerns, and for him to get to do his version is pretty cool. And it's an undeniably entertaining movie. Logan Lucky's literally the movie I watched today before the show. I snuck it in. I paid $2.59 on Amazon to watch it. I'm going to write that off on my taxes. But
you're going to charge Jacob is what you're going to do.
Yes. But Logan Lucky was delightful. I've heard a lot of good word of mouth about this over the years, and I didn't prioritize it just because it kind of slipped away from me. Adam Driver's great. Channing Tatum's very amusing. Daniel Craig is fun. But what I love about Soderbergh films is no matter what genre he plays in, like he gets all these A-list people, similar to Tarantino, but like Soderbergh's more subtle with it. Like he sneaks people in the third act. I'm like, what the hell? You got them? Like, okay. Jesus. Like it still surprises me with him. And it is Ocean's 11, in Appalachia. That's what I like about it. I grew up in Ohio, which is like close enough to West Virginia. Like I was not that deep into West Virginia, but I've been to West Virginia many times. It is a place. And Jacob, have you been yet?
No, I've not left the West Coast yet.
Okay, well. I just
That's a smart move.
There is a tourist attraction in West Virginia called the Mystery Hole, and if you ever go there, don't go there.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Like you're from.
You don't want to go to the Mystery Hole.
Don't go there. But I love the way they play with the West Virginia and the dad and daughter stuff in this. I'm a sucker for that. I am a sucker for that, but Channing Tatum's really good at being a daughter dad. Like I got to give him that. White House Down, he was a great daughter dad. Like I'm here for that. I'm torn on this because Django Unchained is a movie that I personally think is very strong in a lot of ways. I don't think it's one of Tarantino's absolute best personally, but I would be happy to watch it any day of the week. Logan Lucky's so fresh. You need to see Logan Lucky.
I didn't say anything.
Look.
I literally didn't say anything.
It's just the reverse of the last round.
I'll tell
How
you
you responded?
I'll tell you this. Not a spoiler, just a teaser.
Oh,
This movie does such a better job with country roads than Kingsman Golden Circle.
Oh yeah.
Logan Lucky.
what a high bar to clear.
I'm going to vote for Logan Lucky.
All right, Marisol.
What's the vote count?
It's 3-1. Sorry.
Oh, well then.
Oh, for Logan Lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let me keep this simple. All right. Let me keep this simple. I have not seen Logan Lucky. Big old butt. I'm not a fan of Django Unchained. I'm not. I'm a big fan of Tarantino, and there's a weird schism with me and Tarantino in the 2010s. And I feel like that perfect, like, mocking history, that revisionist history that he fucking damn near nailed with Inglourious Bastards, I feel like he kind of botches with Django Unchained. I feel like it gets too silly. And then it's made even that much more embarrassing. The 12 Years a Slave came out the next year, and for me, like, eclipsed Django Unchained. It really did. And I was like, and this is me contextualizing this. I'm gonna get some deep for a second, y'all. This is me contextualizing this within like American film history and like our approach to like dealing with like slavery and shit. And yes, wow, slavery and shit. Slavery.
Wow.
All right.
That was my favorite.
None of us can say this, by the way.
Right. I'm mired in slavery and shit. But yes. But it's just like I think we didn't need like the caricature like look into slavery before we got like a hard look into slavery. And for me, like, Django just got too cartoony really fast. I think it got cartoonier than Inglourious Bastards did, but I think Inglourious Bastards did get cartoony just in smaller spurts, and I think that Django got cartoony for like half the movie. And I was like, all right. Like, I was like, okay. Like, I am on board with all of this, but okay, calm down. Like, calm down. And I just felt I felt Tarantino just like his masturbatory screenwriting in Django Unchained more than I wanted to. I felt it in the Mandingo scene. I felt it in especially towards the end. You know, I felt the director interfering with my take on
bobbing tooth,
the subject matter here. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm watching like a movie that being entertaining, but that I'm seeing like Tarantino literally like satisfying himself watching this, being like, yes, this is awesome. And, that's what kind of holds me back with Django Unchained, the self-satisfying feeling of the screenplay with that. It's a little weird. It's a little weird for me, and that's always held me back with it. I don't rewatch it that often, more than other Tarantino that I fucking love. I think he's made some incredible movies, but I just don't think Django is the one for me. And I've never seen Logan Lucky.
There's still time.
But big old butt. Big old booty butt here. I'm gonna vote for Logan Lucky here, just because like I have a little more conflict about Django Unchained, and God bless this panel for giving me a little insight into Logan Lucky. And I always have, and I do trust in Soderbergh. I really do, because of his detached, clinical approach to movies, and he's almost like the Coen brothers in that sense. And no matter what genre he approaches it kind of with like like authenticity and commitment to the genre, no matter which one he does. So I believe in Soderbergh here. So I'm going to give a trust vote to Logan Lucky here, and it doesn't matter because it already won. That was my.
Also, Jacob, I'm gonna bill you because I have to rent it again.
It's actually funny. So the Logan Lucky 4K is one of the hardest ones to find at this point. Like it's because it came out. It was one of the first ones to release, and you just cannot get it anymore. And I am so lucky that I have it.
Yeah, we do actually own it.
Going on, this is just a side tangent that we kind of don't really have time for, but what you're saying about the 2010s Tarantino, I think he's missing Thelma a lot. And I think that is the big change that happened in the 2010s was Thelma edited all of his movies and then she passed away. And the new guy,
Bastards, right?
After Bastards is her last movie, and then the new guy, what's his name? Fred Raskin.
Wait, was it Thelma? No,
it's not.
Thelma?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No,
I don't
Thelma
think it's
Shoemaker is Scorsese.
That's Scorsese's editor.
Scorsese. Sorry,
it's not Thelma.
Sally Menke.
Yes, Sally Menke. Yes, thank you. I was like, it's not Thelma. Yeah. Yes, Sally Menke passed away.
Quentin Tarantino sadly passed away.
No. It's okay.
All the misinformation.
Yeah.
Not gonna make that 10th movie.
Thank you, Jacob, for saying that. I do think it's a big because Sally Menke did pass, and I do think that's a big difference in the focus of some of Tarantino's movies in the 2010s. I do think you feel that shift.
Yeah. All right, Adam, I'm gonna give you a little runway on this next one.
Oh.
Mandy versus Midnight in Paris.
Okay. All right. I have seen both of these films. You know that? I've seen them both. Yeah. Okay.
That helps.
Good night, everybody. So Midnight in Paris is one of those 21st century Woody Allen films that stands alone. I think Blue Jasmine is similar. These are movies that, you can say what you want about Woody Allen. We can have a separate conversation, but just looking at the movie, Midnight in Paris is a very, very strong movie. It's whimsical, it's thoughtful, it's mature, and it's if you love art, if you're just a fan of art, like especially literature and film, it's everything you could want. And what I really appreciate about the playfulness of this movie is the idea of taking historical personalities and just mixing them together for better or worse. It's something I've enjoyed ever since Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Let's just take these different historical figures and see what it would be like if they interact. And in the case of Midnight in Paris, they interact somewhat, but they're mostly interacting with Owen Wilson's character, who, is kind of just wandering through this time warp of fantasy. And I like all that. The score is great. I think Owen Wilson is really well cast in this movie. And he doesn't just do Owen Wilson. He has some subtlety to his performance. I think Kathy Bates is awesome. Love her in this movie. And Corey Stoll's hairpiece as Ernest Hemingway.
MVP.
Okay, all right.
MVP.
Yeah. Not since his season 1 of The Strain has his hairpiece been that on point. That was a deep reference for anyone who watched The Strain. In season 2, he was just bald. They just didn't acknowledge the hairpiece from season 1, which is amazing.
Look, anybody who watched House of Cards know that Corey Stoll is bald as shit.
He made it.
would expect nothing.
He made it so sexy. All right, so let's cut to the chase. I nominated Mandy for this bracket. This is a movie that I think Panos Cosmatos, the son of the director of Tombstone, as he loves to be described as, is a really talented director. If you haven't seen Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix, watch it. Every episode is an hour-long movie, and Panos's film in that is so great. Peter Weller is the star of it, and it's amazing. So with Mandy, this movie is a heavy metal album cover writ large. Yeah. It is basically, if you take horror and action and Nicolas Cage and mix it up with everything you love about 80s fantasy and heavy metal and album covers. It's all of that, but it's not cheap. It's emotional as hell. And whenever I watch this movie, I get very, very wrapped up in it. I get very, the opening act is as harrowing as it can be. And at the end of it, I get worked up every time. And it's not just a simple revenge story. It's more than that. It in its own way, and its nonverbal presentation, it deconstructs the revenge narrative. Nick Cage is not just an unstoppable badass. He's flawed. He's someone who isn't like a secret Black Ops guy. He's just a guy who loved this woman. And when you mix in like this doomsday cult, it just all the elements work so well. Like this movie's advertised like, oh, there's a chainsaw fight. Yeah, there is a chainsaw fight, and it's pretty great. But you know what also is great? Johan Johansson's score. May he rest in peace. This is one of his best scores. It is so good. I've been peeping a vinyl copy of it on eBay, and I'm waiting for the price to drop. But I listen to it all the time on streaming. This was also one of the big turning points for Nicolas Cage in the late 2010s for him to sort of revamp his career. I think Mandy and Pig are two of his best films in the past 10 years, where you go into that movie thinking it's Nick Cage, he's just gonna be crazy. He's just gonna be crazy. Both of these movies are so emotional. Mandy is a very emotional movie. Andrea Riseborough is great. She's enigmatic in this movie, but she just has so much presence. And by the way, pronunciation check: Linus Roach or Linus Roick?
I thought it was Roach.
Yeah,
no,
let's assume it's Roach. He's great as the cult leader in this.
It's not Roach. Yeah,
Linus. We can just say Linus, right? Linus.
Yeah.
The casting directors with that. Yes, Mr. Roach.
Mr. Roach.
Linus is so good in this. We got some Bill Duke action in this.
No, that's true.
I can't say enough about the movie Mandy. It is so good at everything it's setting out to do. It does things you haven't seen. And as absurd as it gets, it never loses its emotional core. So I let's see how it turns out. If you haven't seen it, go see this movie. It's streaming on Shudder and a bunch of other places.
Marisol?
No.
That's
Don't make me
no.
say after he just said that.
It's okay.
All right, Khan, I'll let you go
I'm
first.
going? Okay.
Yeah.
I will not be voting for the Woody Allen film, even like taking the personal stuff aside. I've never had the urge to rewatch Midnight in Paris. So I will be voting for Mandy, even though I just saw it recently for this. And I don't think it's amazing. I think the first act kind of drags. It's like a full hour before we get into the real meat.
It'll grow on you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I just have to watch it again. But yeah, there's like one part that really stuck out. It's when like Nicolas Cage is fighting one of the bikers, and he's just yelling at him, "You tore my shirt, you ripped my shirt," and I was like, "What the heck am I watching right now?" but it's crazy. If you like crazy Nick Cage, it gives you a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Without spoiling much, this is what I thought. Like the basic story is what I thought Pig would be. So if you've liked, or if you had an idea of what you thought Pig was going to be, Mandy is that turned up to 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll pick Mandy.
Great double feature though.
That's true.
Taylor?
Do I have to go?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. It'll just be uneventful. It might make it easier for everybody. So I've only seen Midnight in Paris, and as someone who loves like art and literature and is like super into all that stuff, like I have no desire to ever watch that movie again. So sight unseen, I'm gonna pick Mandy, just for the Nick Cage of it all. So there's my chaos vote.
Go watch it, Taylor.
It's on my list. It's been on my list for a long time.
A lot of chaos votes today.
Play your cards right. I'll send you a Blu-ray against your will.
He means it.
Yes.
He sent you the
I'll get you to talk. I
all right. He means it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Where's he going?
The dog got into our room.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh no. Am I going?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This is wild. But Mandy is really cool. You know what's funny? Mandy is very, very similar. I was very passionate about the movie Drive, and I think that Mandy is very similar to Drive. It's a very like you feel it, like nerve endings, hot fluorescent pink, gut punch, nerve, like revenge, like kind of a dude motivated to just like kill and like destroy, like in the name of like a woman he loves, like, you know, like it's very much like, it's a very mood movie. It's all about music, atmosphere, tone, rhythm, beat, visuals. I think Mandy has a lot in common with Drive, but I didn't like it nearly as much as I like Drive. I gotta say that. I gotta really say that.
You're voting for Drive?
I voted for Drive. I voted for Drive. That's what I gotta say. I voted for Drive.
I voted for I Saw the Devil.
Yeah, you gotta keep mentioning that. Yeah, keep it up. Look, Midnight in Paris. Midnight in Paris. So one of the cool things, what is really cool about a movie is when you don't necessarily have an attachment to the literary figures or whatever the movie is idolizing or paying homage to, but you feel it. Like when a movie really, really excels is when, even if you don't know those things, those artists or those authors or their works that well, but you feel that love and you feel it communicated very clearly through a movie. That's what Midnight in Paris was for me. I'm not really, really super familiar with Salvador Dali. I mean, we've all seen the melting painting like thing, but like a lot of
rubber clocks,
sure. Without like being really, really intimately attached to all the artists and authors and writers and painters who are referenced in Midnight in Paris, I felt the reverence and everything for them when I saw that movie. And that matched with its buoyancy, and you got Owen Wilson and Rachel McAdams in there. Midnight in Paris and that soundtrack. Oh my God. I love the soundtrack for Midnight in Paris. I listened to it so much. That exposure to like the 1920s, 30s, like European jazz and American jazz, all that stuff really sinks.
It's a great dinner soundtrack, to be fair.
Excellent.
Like, yeah. Like,
absolutely.
You throw it on.
I literally put it on when putting
some
on
summer
dinner
salad, some grilled chicken breast. Yeah.
Are you undercutting my point?
You're just gonna make us hungry.
Are you mocking me? Are you mocking me? What are you doing? Yes. You can play it when you serve salads to people. That's a strength. That's a strength. All right.
Yes.
And Midnight in Paris is just buoyant. It's effervescent. I really, really love this movie. I've watched it multiple times. Mandy, I did only see once under your duress. And
I was thrilled.
Mandy is an excellent mood movie. And I said, like, it's weird that I didn't love Mandy more because I love Drive so much. And I think
you do love Mandy
like
more,
I just
though.
said.
You do love Mandy. The wordplay.
I did say like Mandy, I think, has a lot to do with Drive. And yet I didn't love it nearly as much as Drive. I felt an emotional detachment with Mandy. That's the only thing that's holding me back. I think that Mandy is such a special movie that I think that people will react very differently to it. I don't think there's a one way to react to it. I think it's a very unique movie that I don't think there's a common denominator way that you can summarize how people will react to it. I do think that people will react very emotionally. It's a very evocative movie, and it's a very gut punch, nerve ending kind of feeling movie. Not a lot of dialogue in it. It's very much how you react to the visuals. And I think that'll pull on your own experiences. I think that Mandy will mean a lot to different people who watch it. For me, it didn't quite land, so I will pick Midnight in Paris because I love it. Because it's easy. It's as easy as a glass of wine. I love it. Sue me. I love it. It's jazzy. It's Paris. It's the 1930s. It's a time travel movie. It's Owen Wilson going, wow. I mean, I'm in the 1930s. Wow. I love Midnight in Paris. It won an Oscar for best original screenplay, did it not?
It's his last
Help
one.
me out.
It's most likely also going to be his last Oscar.
His last. Not it lost. His last.
No,
yeah.
it's his last. Yes.
There's no way he's winning.
It won.
It won Best Foreign Film, just like Cold War, like I said. Yeah.
Look, whatever. All right. I'll cut to the chase. Midnight in Paris.
As someone who hates Paris in real life, how do you feel about Midnight in Paris?
I'd actually vote for Midnight in Paris. I, as someone who's not a Woody Allen fan at all, and I do not like majority of his movies, this one works. I really like Midnight in Paris a lot, and so I would have voted for Midnight in Paris, but it doesn't matter because Mandy made it through, and Mandy
make you watch it again, Jacob.
And now you have a chance to watch Mandy.
Another week. All right.
Oh no!
This is the.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
I don't want to do it.
Queen and Slim versus the last black.
It has begun.
Here it is. Welcome to the racist bracket, everybody. All right,
welcome to what you tuned in for if you saw last week.
Here we go.
So here's the thing: do we get the white people to go first and the masks to go last and to do it all, or would you like to start?
I volunteer.
I don't know which will hurt. I don't know which will hurt more.
Well,
you volunteer as tribute. I don't know which will hurt more.
All right,
to hear all your white tears and then just to hear me go. All right.
I am Asian, but you.
No. Except for you. Yeah.
Look, all I want to say is that Uncle Randomizer definitely voted for Trump. So you have that.
He was there on
January. Yeah. Okay.
God.
So Queen and
wild.
Look. I gotta again. This is a disclaimer round. Queen and Slim is happening, but it hasn't happened yet. I haven't seen it. I can't wait to see it. I'm gonna watch it regardless of how this round turns out. But Last Black Man in San Francisco, I did see recently because of the show, and I was really impressed with it. I really love the vibe of this. I'm a big fan of Jim Jarmusch. And his films, especially his early ones, are very, very slowly paced, very droll, and really into lingering, panning, and hovering on the details. So I really appreciated the way this movie was presented, just in terms of the way it would hold the shot and let you examine the details. I think Jimmy Fails and Jonathan Majors are both great in this movie. And I think what's cool about it, what's so damn funny? What are you laughing at?
This is a
Oh yeah.
Asking the real questions, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyway,
so Last Black Man in San Francisco, like I was saying, it's I really liked it. Enjoyed the way it examined the concept of gentrification by digging into it intimately, because that is a concept that is mentioned by name in a lot of movies. Gentrification, it's a thing. We should not just accept it blindly. It's yeah, sure, but what does it look like? What does gentrification mean? And in terms of San Francisco is the first city that just started freezing out people. It's insanely expensive. And people who have grown up there, who have a history there, can't afford to stay in the city. And that's the case for hundreds of cities across this country. And it's why so many of us retreat into rural areas. But this movie does such a good job of not only making that point, but holding it and making you live in it. And what I like about Jimmy's character is he will not accept the status quo. You could argue that he's in denial as someone who is trying to essentially squat in this house that no one has bought yet, that he has a familial history with. But I think the way it culminates in the third act is really, really impactful. I thought of Spike Lee during this movie. I thought of Jim Jarmusch during this movie. Those guys are friends, so it makes sense. But I just, I really like this movie, and I will see Queen and Slim. I'm looking forward to it, but I have to vote for The Last Black Man in San Francisco because it was a home run for me, and I just saw it. So let's move on.
So The Last Black Man is one I haven't seen, but I've seen Queen and Slim, and I loved Queen and Slim so much. I saw this in a theater. It was one of it was like our last movie before
theaters
COVID.
shut down. Yeah.
And it was either our last movie or first. I can't remember which one because it was one of those ones where it was like we were never meant to get it, and then because of COVID, we got it.
We got it somehow.
So it was. So I really love this movie. I love the performances from everyone involved. I think it's just such a really confronting and special movie. So yeah, like I need to watch Last Black Man. It's been on my lists. I just need to watch it, but no, I'm gonna vote for Queen and Slim. So.
Yeah, I'll just jump off of like your point because we are in the same situation. Like we saw Queen and Slim together. Haven't seen Last Black Man in San Francisco yet because we didn't end up getting that one. I don't think.
Never came to Australia.
Yeah, never came to Australia. So Queen and Slim, Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith are incredible in this movie. They are like their chemistry as playing two strangers who don't know each other, who then are put through this extremely traumatic circumstance that leads them on this insane journey that we follow them through in this movie. I just think they're so in it. They're so present, and you just feel it through the entire thing. And not knowing, where the journey was going to end up and how it was going to go. It's just one of those movies that when you walk out, you just feel like you've been punched in the best way. It achieves what it set out to do in making you confront all of the really ugly, terrible, complicated emotions and societal issues and cultural issues. It's just one of those movies that just really strips back the core of all of that and puts all of those kind of pressures on these two people who don't know each other, who now have to rely on each other to get through it. And it's a beautiful movie. I love it. I want to rewatch it actually because we haven't seen it since we watched it in theaters. But I remember loving it, and I remember, I know we do, and I remember it just sticks with me. It's one of those movies that I'll think about every now and then that just kind of pops up, and I just remember like how struck I was by it. So by default, not just by default, but by default, I have to vote for Queen and Slim. But I love that movie. I think it's fantastic.
Marisol, do you want to go?
Sure. Before I say anything, I would like to. I want to make sure my throat is clear. I would like to enunciate this really clearly. I would like to let it clear. Fuck you, Jacob. I just want to. You catch that in the back? Did you catch it? Did you hear it? You hear it in the back?
Yeah, I got
okay, good. I just want to make sure that was clear. These are two of, I think, frankly, some of the most fascinating contemporary dissections of Black America in the 2010s. It's really stupid that they're against each other. It's really stupid.
I hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah,
that would be
imagine?
Yeah,
Could you
yeah.
imagine?
That'd be super
There were-
stupid in this whole show. That
Uncle
happened
Rando
again.
wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Two very different,
Reality is
different
the
facets.
the next matchup we have is like the whitest of white matchups.
Cool.
You're balancing it out. Yeah.
Cool. But on one hand, you've got dealing with the intense gentrification of a West Coast city and the erasure of Black culture in the 2010s. And on the other hand, you've got one of the films similar to Blind Spotting dealing with the outfall police brutality in the 2010s, Black America, and a romance at the center of that. I got feelings about both of these movies. I love both these movies pretty equally. I hate pitting them against each other because I think they're both essential. I think they're both really important movies to watch. And I think they're both very different movies about different facets of one, Black America, and important insights. And
Thanks, Jacob.
Really lean into the mic.
it's okay. It's just like there's sometimes where art obviously becomes more about just entertaining people, and art takes on socio like political context, and Queen and Slim and Last Black Man in San Francisco are one of the best examples, I think, of the decade of where you take entertaining people with a film and putting a message about the times in your film. And if you got to make me choose, I'll just cut to the chase. If you got to make me choose at the end of the day, I do think I will pick Queen and Slim only because there's such an Last Black Man in San Francisco is more like essay-like as a film. It's more like abstract. It's more like here's ideas presented about these themes, and it leads with its themes. It leads with its themes and its ideas, and you feel them. And Jonathan Majors, what a breakthrough! This makes me lament that we don't have a career of Jonathan Majors now, because Jonathan Majors is the by far best performance in Last Black Man in San Francisco. And it is such a testament into what the career we could have had and may still have. Who knows? We'll see. Who knows what will happen in like another 5 years. A career and a potential that we'll have with Jonathan Majors as a dramatic actor. He's stellar in this. Queen and Slim is a more immediate and upsetting narrative where the fallout after a brutality, stop and frisk that goes wrong with the police, and the fallout of it with a romance that happens, and the immediacy of the plot and what's going on with the main characters in there, and the sensuality in Queen and Slim, very sexy movie, and everything that goes on. I think about a lot with Last Black Man in San Francisco, but I feel a lot more in Queen and Slim. And both are amazing movies, but if you really have to twist my arm, fuck you, Jacob. But if you really have to twist my arm and pick one, I gravitate more towards the female-directed sensitivity of Queen and Slim and the sensuality of it and the intimacy of the narrative and the immediacy of the narrative in Queen and Slim over Last Black Man in San Francisco. If I really got to pick. But people really need to watch both of these movies.
Yes.
These are some of the best of the decade, along with Blind Spotting. These are some of the best dealing with timely issues. Thanks, Jacob.
It's funny because if Marisol had gone last, she would have been a deciding vote because I would have picked Last Black Man in San Francisco. But it doesn't matter now. I don't remember either of these two films that well because I think I watched these in the height of COVID, both of them. So. But I think the thing that I would have latched on to is the score from Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Yes.
I think the guy, I forget his name, but he also did the score for Minari, which I thought was really good, like a good 1-2 punch. So I would have picked that if it would have mattered.
Right. Well,
Con, it matters.
It's in my heart. It does.
All right. Well, next up we have this is a very white matchup.
It is, yeah.
The Imitation Game.
Cool.
You weren't lying.
I'll just start with this. I think Imitation Game might have the better individual scene, as in I think the scene of when they finally crack it and they actually finally figure out that Hail Hitler is how you beat Enigma is an awesome 10-minute sequence if it's that long. The rest of the movie is very, very pedantic and pretty. Yeah, this is safe. This isn't very different. Moonrise Kingdom's it's a Wes Anderson movie, but it's probably his best movie. I love Moonrise Kingdom a lot, and so I'm gonna go with Moonrise Kingdom just because I think it's a more interesting, more unique film compared to Imitation Game, which I think for 90% of it is very generic, very borderline, very cool. We're hitting all the tropes, save for a really well done scene in how they break Enigma, which is like the whole point of the movie. So
right,
So
so I have seen the Imitation Game. I saw it once around the time it came out. It was good. I've never really had the desire to revisit it. So I don't remember a lot from it. I just remember it being like a decent film. Wes Anderson, for me, even if he puts out a movie that I don't love, I really still find myself appreciating. Like, I love Moonrise Kingdom, but just for the context, like Wes Anderson for me is one of those directors where when he puts something out, I'm always so excited to see what he's going to do, even if I don't end up loving the film or if I end up needing a couple of rewatches to really figure out how I feel about it. This movie is so fun. I love existing in the world of Wes Anderson films. Like, I know it kind of gets like almost memed now. Like, everyone's like, oh, his style is so whatever and so whatever and what. Like, it's so distinct that people turn it into kind of like this whole thing where it's like, okay, you don't have to like Wes Anderson, go away. Like, leave the rest of it alone. It has always just like spoken to me. Like, I always have connected with what he's done in terms of visuals, in terms of color palette choices, in terms of cinematography and production design. I just think that he's so interesting. And I just love it. I love that thing that I can't quite describe. It's his signature that when you put it all together, you know it's Wes Anderson, and I love it. So Wes getting my vote.
Adam?
So yeah, I'm honestly relieved to be rolling through some of these matchups where I have to deal with my blind spots. So Imitation Game, I still need to see. All due respect to Morton Tilden and Benedict and the whole gang. But Jacob, thanks for the spoilers. No. History.
Spoiling
history.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm teasing. Regardless of how this bracket turns out, I will watch the Imitation Game. It's something I've wanted to see for a while. Like, this isn't entirely relevant, but when Bridge of Spies is a movie I caught up with like way later, and I wasn't blown away, but I was like, hey, cool, I learned about that thing. And that's what I want to do with him. Like, Imitation Game, I know it's going to be that kind of movie. I'm like, yeah, cool. Shed some light on this. I feel enlightened. Good acting, and I will watch it. Moonrise Kingdom is a movie I actively avoided because at the time I was a little jaded by Wes Anderson's style. And I took some time off from Wes Anderson, honestly. And then I caught up with some of his movies a few years later. And when I watched Moonrise Kingdom, what I liked about it is I'm a big fan of Addams Family Values. And this movie felt like it ran with Christina Ricci and David Krumholtz. And that's what I like about Moonrise Kingdom so much. And Bruce Willis gets to be quirky again. This is probably his last quirky performance.
He did this and Looper,
In the same
and
year.
it was
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
like his last
Very much
hurrah.
so.
Yeah.
I'm a summer camp kid. I have so much passion for summer camp stories. So I really dug this. I wasn't much of a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout. I quit during the Cub Scout, so I bailed. But I still related to it on a camp, like a summer camp level. and it's set in Maine. And
So bonus points.
look. I grew up fantasizing about living in Maine because I love Stephen King novels so much, and now I live literally 20 minutes from the Maine border. I'm this close. I'm in New Hampshire.
We live 20 minutes from Stephen King. All
All
right.
Call him up.
Don't
Call him up.
He eats at a diner like 35 minutes.
He
from
wears
us.
torn
Yeah.
like like undershirts to like blend in with people.
Yeah,
It's so great.
I had a lady, real quick sideshow. Like a lady came into my job and she told me like exactly what Stephen King does. She's like, he goes to this diner here. It's about
This is where his boat
it's about
launches, if you really wanna
35.
freak him
Yeah,
out.
it's about 35 minutes from us. He goes to this diner religiously at like 6 a.m. Like 4 times a week. If you want to see him, go to this diner. It's 35 minutes from you. And we're like, okay.
Look,
And she like wrote it all down. She's a fucking Stephen King stalker. And it was really weird.
The mystery was about her.
It was
Yeah,
really
exactly.
weird. It was
And
really
mystery
weird.
was
His
about
next
her.
book is going to be.
very
Oh
much.
my God.
Very
Yeah.
much. And as a guy who on a daily basis fantasizes, daydreams about a meet cute with Stephen King, I'm going to do the opposite of all of those things.
Stephen King. That's
So
a phrase. That's a new one.
I'm gonna let you. I hate to break it to you, but I'm gonna let you know how meet cutes work. They don't work. yeah. They don't work by somebody like hanging out
Stalking.
behind
Yeah, like
the background, and,
Constantly
like,
staking
not-
out the place.
Yeah,
where he
yeah,
hangs
like
out.
not interfering. They work when you're like J-Lo and you like fall in front of a truck, like when Matthew McConaughey catches you. Like that's how they work. They don't work with you
Oh,
like
this is the best side
All I'm
ever.
going to say, all I'm gonna say,
Oh, man.
looking at Stephen
Look.
King from behind, like from the
His-
street,
okay,
like
okay.
looking at him.
but to be fair, his wife Tabitha would not be. She would take me out day one. Like if I showed up trying to do any of that, she would snipe me from the
She would
street.
snipe you.
All this said, Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh, this-
Let's move on.
oh my god.
Okay,
I
who's
love
the,
Stephen King too. He's not on the in the bracket, but whatever.
Well, it was.
Khan.
I rewatched The Imitation Game just to get a refresher for something I hadn't seen in a while.
He's
It
seen
is your.
twice.
It is your.
Damn it, I feel like garbage now. You
That's
see the Imitation Game twice?
well. The first time was a long time ago, but but yeah, it's your standard biopic. If you go on Wikipedia and you just look at like what's true and not, they really fudge the truth with apparently with Imitation Game. So maybe don't take all of it as fact. But there's some good moments in it. There was that one moment where they could stop a German attack, but they don't want to give away that they solved the Enigma. And then the
Well,
kid
that's in
who-
that whole scene. That whole, like I said,
that whole scene where the
that whole
brother
10 minutes is like the best part of the
the
movie.
kid realizes his brother's on that transport and he can't save him. It is heartbreaking for that.
Damn, guys.
Precious
I
Sorry.
guess I don't need to see this.
You don't need to see it now. yeah.
But I will be also picking Moonrise Kingdom. It is also my favorite Wes Anderson. I just think it has the most heart, maybe because 2 kids are at the center of it. It just feels the most genuine of all of his films. I also have a hard time connecting to a lot of his work, but I think Moonrise Kingdom, pulls through and is more special than his other stuff for me.
Well, I'm going to assume Marisol makes this a 5-0 sweep, just the way she keeps side-eyeing every time Imitation Game's mentioned.
Am I easy to read? Okay. Look. I've seen all of Imitation Game. I saw it in theaters. I've seen parts of Moonrise Kingdom. This is gonna be easy for me. Look. Imitation Game, Jacob, you nailed it. There's an interesting movie in like the crux of like what happens, and I'm like the rest of the time I was like. Like, the rest of the time, Keira Knightley.
Crack Enigma. I don't know what that means yet.
Cool.
But
We're not talking about free solo here,
All right.
okay? Like let's calm down. All right.
No, it doesn't
let's
attack
calm
Enigma. You
down.
can't free
End
solo.
of war by fire.
Look,
did it.
no, Jacob, you nailed it. Keira Knightley was wasted. And yeah, Moonrise Kingdom. Wes Anderson is hit or miss for me, but I like his weird like specificness filtered through children. This is the only movie where he filters it through children. Like when he filters it through adults, you're like, ain't no adult act like that. Fuck off. Like,
True.
but like when he filters these like social awkwardness and like social intricacies through children, and you're like, I'm a weirdo, you're a weirdo, we're at summer camp. Do you vibe with me? Yes, I vibe with you. Let's go off on an adventure. Like that feels so pure through children. And I do think that vibes with Moonrise Kingdom. It's an easy vote for me. Moonrise Kingdom.
All right. Moonrise Kingdom moves on. Yeah. All right.
No.
Yeah.
Next up, Shutter Island versus Les Mis. Sorry for the jump scare there, Marisol. I'll let you go because I think I have a feeling I know where this is going.
You don't know me, Jacob. What are you talking about? You don't know me. What are you talking about? Look, I'm a Les Mis faithful. This is my favorite musical of all time. I'm a loyalist to this musical because it makes me cry. Just hearing it makes me cry. Tom Hooper does everything he does to kind of botch this fucking movie. Like, he does everything he can to be like, hey, you know how much you feel about this musical? How about you not feel? Like, you know, like, but then here's Anne Hathaway. But then how about you go back to not feeling? Like when you watch the rest of it, here's Russell Crowe though. Like, you know, like here's Russell Crowe.
He's there.
Like, you know, like here's like Hugh Jackman being like, like, you know, like singing these weird high notes for Valjean, where he has no business singing these high notes for Valjean. Like, there's no crazy, stupid, weird little high notes.
Javert.
Look, I got a lot of problems.
4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 1. Whatever.
I got a lot of problems. I got a lot of problems with Les Mis, with Tom Hooper's Les Mis.
Yes.
Okay, because I really have a lot of problems with Tom Hooper as a director, as a filmmaker.
She's gonna fight him.
I think he interferes with a lot of his films.
There's no Me Cue happening here. Yeah.
I think he interferes with a lot of his films as a director. That's annoying. As Danish Girl, King's Speech, whatever, what have you.
Cats.
I think he is like the problem.
Sorry,
don't do that.
Sorry for invoking that name.
No, it's fine. It's fine. When his actors are like, but I can do this. Tom Hooper's like, no. Like, let me make this bad. Like, it's weird. Shutter Island is a great movie. Leonardo DiCaprio, I feel sorry. I gotta be the one to say this. I feel like it's miscast. I feel like you needed somebody else other than Leo DiCaprio here in this movie. I think you swap Mark Ruffalo with Leo DiCaprio, I think you have an infinitely more interesting movie. I really do. I think Mark Ruffalo has proven his range and his depth and Leo DiCaprio just, again, he was still at the point where he felt too young to be in this role. And I think that Mark Ruffalo still would have succeeded at that. I have some weird hang-ups with Shutter Island that I don't expect people to agree with. I'm gonna say my piece. This is my bracket pick. I'm the first one up. Here I go.
Cold War.
Cold War. Yeah. No. It's late in the bracket for me. Shit. I do fucking love Les Mis. It's my favorite musical ever. So I had a lot of tornness between how much I love this musical and how I was singing the music. But then I was also like, fuck you, Tom Hooper, like the whole time during this movie. But I also, the performers are innocent. Even Russell Crowe with his bad scene. Yeah, it's just bad scene. The performers are all innocent. Oh God, what did I pick? I'm gonna be the only vote for it, I think. So I'm gonna go for Les Mis because of Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway destroyed it. And what's more impressive? Here's what I'll say.
Okay.
This is the last thing I'll say, and then everybody go. Anne Hathaway, Fantine is it's the most coveted role, I think, in that entire musical, and it has been done to the nines on stage, on film, on stage to film kind of adaptations, and Anne Hathaway still. Real bitch right here. She still made it her own. She won a fucking Oscar for it. So Anne Hathaway still, after all these years, won an Oscar for it. Was the best scene in that movie. I'm gonna give it to Les Mis just on the Anne Hathaway energy here. That's my chaos vote.
Tell.
All right. So this is an interesting one for me. I'm gonna say This is probably going to be a bit of a tangent, but it's fine. I want to talk about the things I like about Les Mis because there are a couple of them. Les Mis generally love it. I watch and listen to the 25th anniversary like concert edition constantly. Like just incredible stuff. The movie, Anne Hathaway, as has been mentioned, incredible, deserved her Oscar. Brilliant, made me sob, still makes me sob. Like she understood the assignment as someone who's not like typically a theater actor, and she knew what she was doing and she knew how to bring it. And I'm so mad at us as a society for being like, hey, actually, we don't think you deserve that Oscar, so we're not going to give you a role in a movie for like 10 years, and then we'll decide you're good at acting again. Bullshit. Whatever. Anyway, glad she's back. Happy to have her back. The only other castings I will say they really got right were Samantha Barks playing Eponine, because she has done the stage show and she did the 25th anniversary concert, and you can tell that she has the vocal range, she understands the character, and not only that, she was able to adjust really well of knowing how to pull it back to be in a movie rather than just blasting it all like she was still on a stage. So I think that she does a phenomenal job, and she kind of makes a lot of the other characters, like main characters, look really bad and really worse. Like when she's doing her song with Eddie Redmayne and Amanda Seyfried, and it's like a triple way song thing, and you're just like, why are these other two people singing? Can we please not do that? As much as I love those two as actors, I was like, please God, let this end. Please let's not do that, especially when you throw Samantha Barks in there, who is clearly a trained like theater singer and actor. I also want to shout out my boy Aaron Tveit, who played Enjolras. Like he, again, stage actor, knows what he's doing, like has done, Rent and Hairspray, and is currently doing Sweeney Todd on Broadway. Like those people, you don't always have to bring those people in, but you have to be careful if you're going to mix them with actors who typically don't do it, just because you have to be delicate with it, because you don't want to make it feel uneven. Like, and to me, Les Mis ended up feeling uneven outside of Anne Hathaway kind of being the outlier, where you're not letting the others shine. And it really sucks because like no one roots for that. Like you don't want that to be the case.
And spoiler, Anne Hathaway's in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you know anything about it, it's Fontaine. So that should say you know what's happening.
But
or you know what you're signing up for.
Like it's the same with these other two as well, because you really only get like a couple of scenes with these other two that I mentioned, which kind of really sucks. So those are like my three. Like I don't dislike Les Mis. Like I enjoy the movie for what it is, but it's really tough for me to kind of reconcile the fact that they were not careful with their decisions in terms of like having powerhouse like Broadway singers mixed in with people who typically don't sing. And if you're gonna do that, you kind of have to exclude the Broadway singers so that it kind of balances out. I think like you kind of have to make that decision, and they did not make that decision. So that sucks. That being said, I'm gonna vote for Shutter Island.
God. Yeah, I think what's been said about Les Mis, I can't say any better. I haven't rewatched it basically by choice. It's not something that's I'll just listen to the music if I want to re-experience Les Mis. And I think Shutter Island, even though it was based on a book, I didn't know I was going to end, and that ending genuinely surprised me. And I love how good the cast is. It goes like 10 deep, and then like by the time you get to like Jackie Earle Haley, like how many people are in this thing? It's really good. But yeah, I'll pick Shutter Island as well.
Adam?
Shutter Island. I really enjoy the movie for what it is. For me, I think it's honestly like lower tier Scorsese. I'm a horror fan, but this movie never really resonated with me because I've seen so many movies set in sanitariums and asylums that just like constantly just mess with you. And I'll give Scorsese this. He does it the best, but the premise alone exhausts me. Just because I get a little worn out with like, oh, this protagonist is here and they're solving the case, but are they crazy? And I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I just like, sure, they're nuts. Fine, we're all crazy. Great. Like, Shutter Island, honestly, like, I enjoy the way it's presented very much because it's Scorsese. It looks great.
Yes.
It's well acted. It's well shot. It's well edited. Thank you, Thelma. You're still with us. And I just like
she is not
nice callback to the
yeah. She's not dead.
Even though Jim wants that, Shutter Island is solid, but it's not my favorite. But I like it more than Tom Hooper's.
Seems a prevailing theme here.
Let's say facts. Les Mis is a great musical. But when you take the cinema verite angle with a musical, it's like, oh, look at the rubble
all up in your face.
Look at the smoke.
Like everybody's like right here in the camera. Everybody's like.
I'm like, look. They had smoke, dust, and everything else.
And everybody's singing in camera.
No, I'm saying
everybody's singing in camera when they're not singers.
Baby, I'm saying that shit was in Mary Poppins. That's
what he was
I'm just saying, like, look, Anne Hathaway, yeah, she does a great job. Hugh Jackman shouts. Russell shouts more.
Yes,
he shouts so much.
Hugh Jackman is actually a Broadway performer.
I know.
He actually performs on Broadway.
I know, but the problem
Russell Crowe ain't done shit on Broadway.
The way it's shot with Hugh Jackman is it's so truncated because he's just muted in this, like, realistic, but I don't know.
I know.
What were they doing with this movie? Like, it's obviously got a budget.
Tom Hooper was feeling himself after King's Speech.
Yeah, he was
like, I could do it.
Cash that check.
yeah. He was like, I got it.
But
I still love it. I voted for it. Can you tell? You can't. Yeah, because I'm talking shit on it. But who cares? Continue.
So Shutter Island.
I could see Shutter Island.
Okay.
Do we remember when they thought it was a good idea to like bring them all out at the Oscars and have them all sing live? Does everybody remember that?
I deleted it from my memory.
Yeah, I deleted that from my brain as well.
Yeah, no.
Imagine Russell Crowe coming. I want to imagine. No, Russell.
Wasn't
Crowe,
that the same year that James Franco and Anna Hathaway hosted? So no,
I think it was the year after
that Oscars.
Good.
Okay. Well, I deleted both of those Oscars from my memory.
That's the Patrick McFarlane Oscars.
Is if Russell Crowe came out and sang "I Dreamed a Dream," you would have shed a tear.
I think gonna be the weird one. I really like Les Mis. I do. I really like it. I think
you're a Les Mis.
I think it. I don't know. It works for me. I do love. I will admit though, this movie is directly responsible. My belief is directly responsible for why Wicked is 2 parts. Because you get to the end of One Day More. And that hard cut is the whole reason they're gone. We can't end after Defying Gravity like that, because that cut is so bad in Les Mis that you just where it's meant to be the 2 acts, and it's just like, all right, we're gonna have a hard cut to a walking carriage, and it's the most awkward hard cut you will ever see in movies.
One Day More, yeah, it's the strongest. I mean, I'm my Les Mis dork here. Les Mis or One Day More is, I think, the most breathtaking piece of music.
Oh yeah,
I've ever heard in a musical, and it's the halfway point in Les Mis, and it's weird, to do anything after that.
Exactly what's going to happen with Wicked because it's Defying Gravity, and that's why That's why we're getting 2 parts of Wicked. For that reason alone. Anyway, that's just.
You can always blame Harry Potter too if you want to. Harry Potter is always a reason.
Just to give you an idea of the runway with Wicked, I was an intern at Universal in 2008, and Wicked was in development then.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I mean, it always has been.
Yes.
Wicked,
but they thought it was going to.
Wicked was big. No. It's always been in development.
Baby, at the time, they thought it was going to come out in 2010.
Yeah. But they weren't ready.
Crazy.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm just gonna leave.
He's gonna leave. Oh God.
You're not allowed to leave. You're not.
No, you better face you. Jacob. You better face this shit.
Wow.
You better not pussy out here. All right. Look, this
At least
is
it's not
straight.
Blind Spotting versus Selma.
Look.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Thank you.
Oh, there's still one left. There's still one left. I thought that's the one.
Yeah,
you
this-
were.
Oh yeah. No,
There's still
don't.
one
Just
left.
wait. Yeah. Blind Spotting made it out. Blind Spotting has half a white person in it, so it was allowed to
He
go
doesn't
against
want
other
to
white movies. Okay, all right,
Oh my god.
Marisol, I'll let you start.
fine, cool. You
Jacob's
wanna-
like, let me dive
You
into
want
the
to go
buzzsaw
here?
right
Yeah.
now.
You want to strike while the iron's hot? Look, I'm gonna do it. Nobody wants to hear this. I'm gonna come in hot. Okay. All right. I'm gonna come in hot. All right. I've seen many of the adaptations of Little Women. I've read it. I've seen many of the adaptations, except for the Katharine Hepburn one from the 30s. Sorry, I haven't seen the
You
Hepburn
know, there's
one.
a Catherine Newton Maya Hawke miniseries. I found that out like a week ago.
Well,
There
then
is
watch
that.
it. Go
There
for
is
that.
that,
yeah.
Go for it, baby. I haven't seen the Hepburn original. The original film adaptation. Sue me. I haven't seen it, but I read the book. I've seen the Gillian Armstrong movie from the 90s, which I love.
I love that movie.
And then I've seen the Greta Gerwig joint from the 2010's.
That is the joint we're discussing.
It is a joint.
Yeah.
Look, Spike Lee fans, sue me. But look. Unpopular opinion. I'm probably gonna be the only one on this panel.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
The
no.
Greta Gerwig version, not my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, not my favorite. I don't like the nonlinear reformatting of the book. I don't like it. I'm not big on it. I think that everything's a little accelerated. I think that I don't like Florence Pugh. Like, I don't like her casting. I think she's way too old to be her character. Unpopular opinions, it's fine. I think that everybody is zipping along a little too much in this movie. And I think that by rearranging the narrative in it, I think you lose some of the emotional through line from what made the book really special. And especially the 1994 movie, pretty special. It's fine. It doesn't matter, because what really matters is that Blind Spotting is, it doesn't matter. Even if I thought Little Women was a really good movie, and I still think it is good. And I know a lot of people love Little Women. So I'm not gonna discredit Little Women, because I know it means a lot to a lot of people. It didn't hit for me, but I recognize that it means a lot to people. But Blind Spotting, I think, is such a unique work. I think it's a film you can't tie any other film to. There's no other film kind of like it. I think it is very evocative of the time. I think it is very unique. I think the angle of the screenwriters and the directors is very unique. And I think it is a special movie. I think that not only is it a special movie because of the uniqueness of the topic it tackles, but I also think that it's a well-directed and well-acted movie on top of it. I also think it's actually a great movie. And it was incendiary to come out at the time it did, because I think it was very timely in especially the wake of BLM and everything. Black Lives Matter, for those who are not down with the acronym.
Out of practice.
But I love the melding of both Black Lives Matters and the notion of gentrification, and confronting it head on, talking to somebody and applying it to real life experiences of a lot of the people who, there are a lot of white people and Black people who grow alongside each other in these communities. And white people feel a little right to those communities themselves, because they're like, what the fuck? Like, I grew up here too. This is my community too. And I think there's so few films. You can maybe hear firsthand stories, but there's so few films that actually tackle and discuss this, and with this level of nuance and this level of actual film literacy and skill that I think Blind Spotting does. And I think Blind Spotting is a terrific movie. I think The Little Women is a good adaptation. It didn't quite click for me. It's not my favorite adaptation. I think it's a good adaptation, but if you really want to get the gist of it, go read the book. Go watch the Gillian Anderson movie, and maybe I'll watch the Katharine Hepburn movie. It's a story that's been told before, and Blind Spotting is a story that's been told never. and that makes it that much more important, and that makes it that much more special, and it really clearly wins it for me over Little Women. I think I'm the only person who's going to vote for it, though. It doesn't matter. Blind Spotting is easily my pick.
Marisol, you're not alone because I'm picking Blind Spotting. Yeah, I do. Greta Gerwig's Little Women. I'll show my age here. Was the first film adaptation of Little Women I saw. I did go back and watch the 90s movie after that, but I did like her version. I like especially her use of color to differentiate between the flashback and the present. But Blind Spotting is a special film. You can tell it's a labor of love for both Daveed Diggs and Rafael Casal. The ending is maybe the best ending to a film. It's up there as one of the best endings ever to a film. I won't spoil what it actually is because you should experience it just fresh. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Blind Spotting.
Adam?
I want to be able to say more than this, but I'm picking Blind Spotting too. I haven't been able to just say it outright yet, but I am definitely picking Blind Spotting. I like Little Women more than you do because the reason I appreciate Greta Gerwig's Little Women. You want to take a lap?
I need a minute. My heart stopped. I need a minute. I thought I was going to be on an island here. I thought I was going to be on an island. Continue.
Thank you. So Greta Gerwig's Little Women, I really do like it because it feels like a film stage version. Because if you took this cast, I think Florence Pugh's performance makes more sense on stage. I think you take her performance and the way she plays down when she's younger doesn't translate on film that well, even though she's a talented actor, the way it would on stage. Because on stage, you're condensing your posture, you're carrying yourself differently, and on stage, her performance definitely would have felt like a younger person. But when you put it on camera, we know who Florence Pugh is. And that did take me out of it too. That didn't undermine the entire film, but it did take me out of it. I do think Florence Pugh's nomination that year was also a little bit of Midsommar energy. I definitely think
that's what she should have been nominated for.
She should have been nominated, but she didn't get a Best Actress.
Wrong movie. Pick the wrong movie.
Yeah.
And to this day, I think it's just all-timer performance for her. But she's very good in Little Women. I agree. The Gillian Armstrong version from the 90s is fantastic. I had the good fortune of seeing that film in theaters when I was 8 years old. That's one of my early theatrical experience. My dad was like, "We're going to see Little Women because it's a book." And I like,
come on, boy.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, Dad, let's go.
Get up.
That same year, my grandpa took me to the Flintstones. So, I'm just saying. It's a full spectrum. But I really do like Greta Gerwig's version because I think she put her stamp on it. And I think she ruffled it up a little bit, made it interesting, had a great cast. But Blind Spotting stands alone. In the 2010s, we have so many of these movies in this decade, some of them pitted against each other for no reason, Jacob. and they deal with really heavy subject matter. And the thing that's interesting about Blind Spotting is the police brutality story arc is definitely a big part of it, but it comes up in a very sneaky way. And a lot of movies that deal with similar subject matter put that in the trailer. That's the framing device of the film, as it should be, because it's very, very anchoring and important. But what I like about Blind Spotting is it never loses the thread of these two friends, and it never loses the thread of how everyone, down to Ethan Embry's character, has at least a shred of humanity and a shred of regret. And it doesn't make them someone you need to forgive by any stretch of the imagination, but you still understand how people fuck up in the worst ways. And I think Blind Spotting is incredibly resonant. Daveed Diggs is so great in it. Everyone's great in it. I definitely vote for Blind Spotting.
Tell.
So it doesn't matter what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. So I would have voted. I guess I am voting for. Would have voted for. I don't care. Little Women. I think that the cast of sisters have a really great chemistry together. When we get those family scenes, I think that Saoirse and Florence and Emma and Eliza really make that believable. Whether they're getting along or they're fighting or whatever the dynamic is, I think that casting works really well. Want to give a shout out to the real MVP, which is Bob Odenkirk.
The meme was everywhere.
I was actually,
What are you little women doing around here? What's going on?
I didn't know that was like he was in it, and then he walked into the scene as Mr. March, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is best." Anything else that happens, best movie ever, basically. So I love this version of Little Women. I have a lot of fun with it. I like that it's different from the other versions we've gotten in terms of telling the narrative in a different way that's not quite linear, and it has been mentioned, like the different color palettes to kind of give you a sense of time that you're in. But yeah.
I probably would have also voted for Little Women just because I really do love Little Women as a film, but I'm glad Blind Spotting's moving on. So yeah, Blind Spotting moves on.
I'm so ready for this next one.
That sounded sarcastic, Taylor. Here we go. Round 2.
I will start this.
Oh boy.
Because, let's let the white person start.
Yeah.
Let's let the white Australian start.
Yeah, right.
That's a double win.
What do you think about American race issues?
Yeah.
You really relate to right?
What's funny, if in 2018, I would have given this to Hate You Give. Hate You Give, I had such a visceral reaction to that.
We saw it in LA.
We did.
In a theater.
Because I was in LA when it came out.
Yeah.
I had such a visceral reaction to that movie. I loved Hate You Give so much. And like I just kept singing its praises. It was like, please, people, go and see Hate You Give. Like as many of you as you possibly can, go and see it. It's an incredible movie. Australia didn't get it for like months later. And when it finally did come out, I just kept screaming at everyone, go and see this goddamn movie. Over time, Black Klansman has just stayed with me more and more. And I rewatch Black Klansman so much. I love this movie so much. And yeah, so I'm going to vote for Black Klansman.
Yeah, this one is a tough one. Just because when we did go see Hate You Give, we both just had that kind of same reaction where we didn't really know. Like you walk out of the theater and you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I function? Like, while I'm trying to think about what just happened. I think Amanda Stenberg, Regina Hall, Russell Hornsby, like the whole cast is great. Russell Hornsby is phenomenal. And like he is so good. He's a huge part of why it just is such an emotional, like the whole movie just hits you where it needs to hit you. I remember being so blown away by it. And I think it's interesting to have it be up against Black Klansman because they are such different films, like tonally, the kind of story that they're trying to tell. And so it's really like, I love Black Klansman. Both of them were two of my favorite movies that year. I think that John David Washington is phenomenal. I think Adam Driver is great. Topher Grace, awesome casting. That
completely different side of him.
Genius. He's so good. And it makes it even better that you're like, wow, the one guy from that 70s show who didn't turn out to be a piece of shit. And he plays the awesome. And I don't think that Laura Harrier gets enough credit either for this movie. I think that she's great. It's and your boy Corey Hawkins.
Yep.
He's amazing as well.
I like how like
It's
Marisol.
only Jacob's boy. Corey.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that's more inside joke. I'm sorry.
That is
I
an
know.
inside joke. Yeah, well, like
Jacob loves Corey Hawkins. That's why I love
You're
the
his biggest
Taylor
fan.
said
For the
that.
people in the
Yeah.
chat that have no
No
idea what
idea.
just happened. Anyway,
okay. I think Corey Hawkins is one of the most underrated actors working in Hollywood today.
every time a movie comes out that Corey's in, he's like, the Oscar's happening this time. He's like,
This is his year.
Not just any movie. Back in 2020, when In the Heights came out, Jacob was like,
You were
Corey
campaigning
Hawkins
for his
is
Oscar.
going to get an
I
Oscar
didn't-
nomination for In
I
the
didn't
Heights.
say for In the Heights. I said at some point this kid's winning an Oscar. At some point in his career, he is winning a goddamn Oscar.
All right, sure, okay. All right, there's no stenographer here. Okay,
He's good at In the Heights.
but I digress.
Yeah. Sorry.
are we good?
Yeah.
Is everybody good?
Now that we went on the Corey Hawkins tangent.
Yeah, I mean, which is great. He needs to be talked about more, so we can do more tangents if you guys want. But now I'm gonna have that damn In the Heights song in my head. Thank you so much. Anyway, we just took up so much time with that. I'm just gonna say Black Klansman.
Adam.
What? I vote for Theodore Rex.
Wow. All right.
Shit, you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
The real hard-hitting African American story, in
Oh.
this bracket. Okay. Again, we've hit another half a blind spot. I have not seen The Hate You Give. Yes,
Blind spotting
yes,
reference?
He's blind spotting.
Yeah. Was it blind spotting reference? Okay. Yeah.
I did not get around to The Hate You Give in time for this. I do apologize to the Academy, but Black Klansman is so cool. It's Spike Lee playing again. I think with this and Defy Bloods, he got back to his roots in a lot of ways where he's doing the film on entirely his own terms. And Spike Lee in the 2000s and 2010s did step outside of his complete control and did a couple studio pictures and like I think for him to get back into his mode properly and play around really speaks for itself. I think John David Washington is really good in this movie, and I think the irony of it is he was really well cast in this film, but I think ever since Black Klansman, they're still trying to find the right role for him. Not because he's a bad actor, but like none of his roles since this have really resonated with me. I've always looked forward to seeing him in a movie, but Tenet,
The
Creator, like I just left me wanting more. Not because of his performance, but because of the way his character was written, more or less. But yeah, he's great in it. Adam Driver's terrific in it. And again, in the Spike Lee tradition, you have a lot of things drawn from real life. Newsreels, documentary style filmmaking mixed in with the narrative filmmaking, and it's what I love most about his style and the way he tells stories on his terms. And it contextualizes it in such an interesting way. It's genuinely funny without being slapstick or cheap. So, yeah, I'm sorry The Hate You Give. I can't give you a fair shake. I have to vote for Black Klansman in this scenario, but I will still watch the film. I promise, Jacob, not because I'm trying to make you proud, but just all right.
Ka?
Well, I guess it doesn't matter now, but I would have genuinely voted for The Hate You Give. It's a weird way of separating the two in my head, but I expected Black Klansman to be good when I did see it because it's Spike Lee. He doesn't make really bad films, but I didn't really expect anything from The Hate You Give, and when I watched it, I was blown away by how timely it was and by how well performed and just hard hitting that something that's based on like a YA novel is. I didn't expect much, but yeah, I would have picked The Hate You Give.
Marisol?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think these are both kind of thematically similar movies. The Hate You Give, I will give a lot of props. They're coming from different angles. The Hate You Give is a movie based on a YA novel fictionalized version of a YA novel dealing with police shootings and brutality by the police in a 2010s, specifically a 2010s context. And Black Klansman is based off a true story from the 1970s. And Spike Lee, because Spike Lee making it, he brings it bracingly into the present and reminding you how nothing's changed from the 1970s. I will give the clear edge to Black Klansman here in this matchup, because Hey You Give, one of the strengths is that I like that it's a movie accessible to the YA generation, but it's also what holds it back, is that it can't really dive into everything really that deeply because it is aimed at the teenage demographic. I think it dabbles with a lot of things. The fact that the protagonist is a biracial, lower income like student at a very prestigious like high school, and she's dating a white boyfriend, but she deals with the shooting of her Black best friend. The movie doesn't really tackle those things. So it's surface, but because I think it's trying to keep it a little simple for its demographic, its target audience, it doesn't really dive into those things. And then I think it plays it a little too broad with the police brutality aspect at the end. Whereas Black Klansman, no, this is a Spike Lee. This is a Spike Lee joint, and he holds nothing back. He holds nothing back. He's like, we're not children anymore. Like, this is, I think that The Hate You Give is very great I would introduce this to teenagers. I think it functions great as a young adult introduction into contemporary race relations and all that stuff. I do think it is a good movie in that sense, but it pales in comparison to Black Klansman. It really does. And Spike Lee is always good about taking, here's the past and here's how it's still bracingly relevant in the present. And he does it even without the coda where he references the riot, the riot in like
Charlottesville riots.
Charlottesville. Yeah, in Virginia. He always is good about that. He did that in Malcolm X. He's really, really great. He did that and Do the Right Thing in a lot of ways. He's really good at bringing the past into the present, and Hate You Give is just outmatched here in this. It can't operate on the depth and the level and the scope and the experience that Black Klansman is operating on. This is by far the best that John David Washington has been in all of his movies. I think that this is the best match for his skills as an actor, and he really nailed it with this. It is clearly Black Klansman here, you guys.
It's funny, like when I first saw Black Klansman, I thought I didn't love the ending with Charlottesville. I was more like, that's too on the nose. You don't need to do that. And then basically the next 8 years or however years has just proven why I was wrong.
You needed it. Yeah.
Had to do it.
That's what Spike Lee does.
People are idiots.
Yeah.
Like that's
we never learned.
Yeah. So
it reminds you, he needs to be that blunt because
I was just like,
he said it in his school days. He said literally had his characters yelling at the camera saying, "Wake up."
Yeah.
And 30 years later, he is still telling everybody to wake the fuck up in his movies.
All right. Black Klansman moves on. We're in the home stretch, the final three. These are all relatively.
Jacob, I swear to God.
Okay.
Personal attack.
But we're done with the racism now.
Yeah, we're done with the racism. Prometheus First Baby Driver. Khan, I'll start with you.
Wow. Look, I know, the whole Kevin Spacey angle is, whatever. But I did rewatch Baby Driver, and he does die. He gets run over by a car in Baby Driver. So that is a point in Baby Driver's favor. For anyone who cares about that angle. But I watched Prometheus fairly recently. I did like it. It's maybe not my favorite in the Alien franchise. I think the birthing pod scene really stuck out. Not that much else, unfortunately. For anyone else who is a big Prometheus fan, I'm so sorry. But I still really like Baby Driver, even with all the the icky stuff aside. I just think there's so much kinetic energy that Edgar Wright infuses in this movie with. I just love that he syncs up some of the action to the music, and you can tell he really loves filmmaking and incorporating music into it. So I'll pick Baby Driver.
Adam.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
So Baby Driver is a film with Ansel Elgort in it, and I can't deny that when I see movies with him in them, I'm not thrilled. It's not because of anything personal. I don't know that much about him on a personal level. He's the reason West Side Story wasn't better for me. I was like, who are you? What are you doing in this movie?
What are you doing here?
Know what you're doing. Get the hell out of it, fish face. I just wanted to hit him. And look, that's not. I'm admitting a bias here. All right, I am. I'm flawed. I'm a flawed judge. Prometheus is, and I've said this at least once tonight. This is far from a home run. But I appreciate Prometheus on a few levels. Does a pretty good job juggling the cast. Visually, it's definitely stunning. I think Ridley, he or his entire production team storyboarded the hell out of this beautifully. I love the way it looks. I think I've only seen it twice. I will watch it again. I think it's a movie that it's good on rewatch. It's never going to reach masterpiece level. Never, ever going to reach that level for me. But I do appreciate it's definitely better than Alien Covenant for me. Alien Covenant's a lark. It's like Alien Resurrection. It's I don't despise it like some people, but Prometheus is an interesting conversation. It even though I think it was a little cheap at the time to try and have your cake and eat it too. Like, here's the Ridley Scott sci-fi movie, but it's a backdoor Alien prequel. Like now we know what it is, and I just think like if Alien had been in the title, it wouldn't get as much guff. You know, honestly, if it was just like Alien : Prometheus, people would have chilled the hell out about it a long time ago. But because it's just Prometheus, people feel like they were duped or something. And it is a cool movie. It's conversational. It's fun. And Baby Driver is a really impressive editing exercise. And it made me just want to see an entire movie with John Hamm and John Bernthal in it, honestly. I think again, technically Baby Driver has a lot of things going for it. Substantively, it lost me in the first act. The first act was the best part. The second 2/3 didn't land for me as much. And I don't desire to rewatch it. I'd rather rewatch Prometheus, so I'll vote for Prometheus.
I'll go quick. I've never been a big fan of Baby Driver at all. I think it's an okay movie. It's kind of the epitome of my relationship with Edgar Wright. I think there's so much kinetic
when
energy.
When did you guys break up, Jacob?
Yeah. You want to talk about it? Or?
Have you talked to Taylor about this?
I just don't connect.
I know about it.
I just don't connect with really many of his movies, which is ironic because all three of them from this decade are on this list. Prometheus is more interesting because the first time I watched Prometheus, I wasn't that big of a fan. I was the one, the kind of like, oh, that's what this is. Okay, this is weird. Didn't really dig with it. We watched it again about a month ago, and I fucking loved it. I was just like, oh god, this thing's amazing. This thing's awesome. I agree with you. I'm not ready to go masterpiece level. I think the worst aspects of it are the alien connection. I think all of that is the, hey, here's my $200 million movie about, about humanity and and our evolution and our history as humanity. And Fox went, can you tie it into something? because we're not going to fund an original $200 million project. Okay, cool. It's an Alien prequel. That's what it kind of feels like to me. So I am going to go Prometheus because I really do now dig that movie a lot more than I thought I did. Taylor, would you like to go last or?
I guess it doesn't really matter.
I ain't gone, but okay.
No, but I might as well just do it and get over with. Yeah, this one's tough for me just because I like both of these movies more than most people. So this is like a double whammy where it's like everyone's like, yeah, they're both fine or they're okay, and I'm like dying on the inside. I'm like, I love Edgar Wright movies. This one in particular, I love. I think the style, and the soundtrack work so well. I think it's one of the few roles that Ansel Elgort really does well in. I'm not a huge fan of his really outside of this movie. I love the ensemble cast. I think Lily James is great. John Hammond, John Bernthal, for sure. Knock it out of the park here. Isa Gonzalez, like her little part, they're great. So I really like the ensemble. I love the use of music. I'm a sucker for a good soundtrack. I think the soundtrack just knocks it out of the park. I just have a lot of fun with the movie and the style of it. Prometheus, I've told this story a couple times, but I'll tell it again just in case people don't know. Prometheus was the first Alien movie I ever saw. That was my journey into the Alien Predator world. And I didn't know what I was going into. Like, a bunch of my dude friends were like, new Alien movie. And I was like, all right, sure. So I was like, cool. And then we all walked out of it and they were like, wow, it's an Alien movie that sucks. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. So, I love Prometheus. I've always loved Prometheus. I will probably always have a little bit of a bias just because it was my first Alien movie. It's the reason I started watching Alien movies because I loved what I saw. I love the cast in the movie. I did a whole podcast of like an hour talking to Allison from Flick and Reel where it was her first time watching it. We sat down, we did like an hour where we just talked about how Prometheus rocks. And we still need to do one about why Covenant rocks. I'm looking forward to that as well. But I just love Prometheus. I think there's so much, what you've talked about where it's like humanity and dealing with the struggle of like, where do we come from and looking for answers and the science behind it and the faith behind it and really like grappling with that. And then there's also the whole story of, the aliens being included in it. That pod scene, I could talk for like 3 hours about breaking down like what I like, we basically already did on the podcast, but I think that scene is great, not only because I think it's fits in obviously with the kind of lore of the aliens and like the gore and all that stuff, but I think just from a level of like exploring like, hey, these pods are only made for men, so we can't really help you out here. And she's like, great, cool, even out here like women suck, I guess that's cool for me.
I'll do it myself.
I'll do it myself. And that like that whole narrative, especially when you tie it in with her like thinking she's not able to have children and kind of like dealing with the whole having your like decisions about that kind of stuff like taken from you. And like there's a whole tangent I can go on about why I think that's so interesting to be put in that movie in that kind of context. But I think just because I watch it more and because it like did kind of bring me to a whole like franchise that I now love, I will pick Prometheus, but I hate you for making me do it.
All right, Marisol.
Easy. Prometheus, baby. Easy. Prometheus opened up the world. Alien is by far the best movie in the entire Alien franchise. Prometheus actually, after a year of stale fucking sequels, opened up the lore and be like, what the fuck is going on with the origin of this? Opened it up, made it interesting. Ridley Scott was back there to bring it kind of like into that like kind of like mostly like almost like nonverbal way to like just bring the visuals to the forefront, but the themes to the forefront. Prometheus is fascinating, but still delivering on some gory, good thrills. Gave us Fassbender in there. Boom.
Yes, David.
Yes. Baby Driver is one of the lowest points in Edgar Wright's filmography. As far as I'm concerned, he entered this point where if anybody was ever going to say that Edgar Wright was style over substance, Baby Driver is the beginning of that. Baby Driver and Last Night in Soho are the beginning of those. Baby Driver is the first movie where you're like, this guy is just all style and no substance. Baby Driver is an empty movie compared to the thematic complexity of one, The World's End, Shaun of the Dead, the genre mashing of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Baby Driver is just pathetic compared to the rest of them. I'm not gonna. That sounds aggressive. I'm sorry, but it is. But it is compared to the rest of them. It is sad.
Over here, it's fine.
Like Ansel Elgort. I'm gonna take a little further than you, Taylor. Ansel Elgort has the charisma of like Wonder Bread. He really does. He's so sad. Without those glasses, without those sunglasses and those headphones, what would you be left with? Ansel Elgort. All right, you would be left with his blank ass face trying to emote in that movie. Those props are doing wonders for him in that movie. The supporting cast is doing wonders around him, making the movie 10 times more interesting. Whenever somebody talks about Baby Driver, they don't talk about how interesting Ansel Elgort is. They talk about how interesting John Hamm was, or Kevin Spacey. Like Kevin Spacey, in spite of the Kevin Spaciness, how much interesting he was more than Ansel Elgort. John Hamm, John Bernthal, Jamie Foxx, like everybody, the supporting cast is 10 times more interesting than him. Like Lily James, everybody's more interesting than Ansel Elgort in that movie. A tragic example of Edgar Wright finally jumped the shark with style over substance. He really did, and that's saying a lot. This is a no-brainer for me. It's Prometheus all the way. Let's talk about Prometheus next.
All right. With that, Prometheus makes it through.
Got two more.
All right, we got two more.
Hey.
Should be relatively simple ones.
Let's do this.
Here we go.
Contagion versus Toy Story 3.
What?
This is weird. This is weird.
What a weird fucking matchup. What do I do with this?
This is weird.
Sorry.
Except for when we've been doing this for 2 hours and we're like loopy and we don't know what's going on.
We're going crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna start. Contagion, fine movie. It's fine. Should have been a TV series because there's so much like plot stuff that they just ignore. Like there's like, okay, hey, the guy who the woman who started all of this whole pandemic, her husband is immune and they don't touch any of that. Like how, like that would just be fascinating as like from a storytelling point of view. Anyway, there's so much about it that it just ignores. Toy Story 3 is like a freaking masterpiece and just one of the best animated films ever made. So I'm going with Toy Story 3.
Chill. I haven't seen Contagion, so even if it was good, Toy Story 3 is like people our age that was made specifically to attack us, like emotionally. So Toy Story 3.
Con?
I don't know why, like over COVID, so many people wanted to watch Contagion. It's like, why do you want to watch something that we're experiencing now? But it was very
people love suffering.
It was very prescient for like predicting future events, I guess. But if you know me at all, Toy Story 3 I think might be the best Toy Story film, and I love all of them. But it is a masterpiece. I will rewatch the heist scene where they escape from Sunnyside like every chance I get, and then the double whammy at the end where they think they're gonna die in the incinerator, and then followed by Andy giving away his toys to Bonnie. It's just it hits you right in the heart. So it's obviously Toy Story 3.
Marisol?
What's going on here? We have a little justice train going on here. Yeah.
Hey, one of them made it through.
This is wild. I mean, how do you compare these movies? I mean, one is about like, oh no, toys may die, and one of them is about, oh no, 20 million people die. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I'm like, what? And you know what? God damn it. I cried more at the movie where toys died.
Jeez.
Like, what does that say about me? I don't know what that says about me.
You're a baby.
I get Look,
Yeah.
this is fucked up because I just saw Contagion for the first time this week, and I was talking to Adam. I was like, "Oh my fuck! Like this movie is like even better in 2024." I love this. I love how like brutal and unflinching it is, and how it's just like, no, when you guys don't play by the rules, people die. Like it's just like when the CDC fucks around, people die. Like it's just like so brutal. I love that about Contagion, even though it's a bleak as hell movie. Like it's so bleak, but it's so prophetic. Like it's so clairvoyant, and it's so brutal. And it's another thing that I love about Soderbergh, how just like straightforward he is and unsentimental, and that's why his movies hit so hard even when he's just fucking around and just experimenting with genres and subject matter. I love that about Soderbergh, but he went against Toy Story 3. And he went against Toy Story 3 today. So he picked a bad day to come into the movie brackets because Toy Story 3 is the perfect coda. I'm not going to talk about Toy Story 4. I'm sure we will at some point.
Underrated.
Look. Toy Story 4 ain't got nothing on Toy Story 3.
That's true.
Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3. The Toy Story 3 is this perfect like coming around on this saga about like a child growing up and then letting go of their toys and then passing them on. And this is the journey. This is a toy's journey. How can we feel this much about a fucking inanimate object than we can in Toy Story 3 about a toy's journey? Like it's a toy. This is a human construct. We're just projecting human emotions onto a fucking toy, a piece of plastic. But we have a whole existential crisis going on with these toys.
Story 4.
And that's the brilliance about the Toy Story series, is how we apply our human emotions onto these toys. And they come full circle with death and confronting death head on, literally, in Toy Story 3. And I cry at the end of this movie. I think this is a perfect ending to the trilogy. We won't talk about Toy Story 4 yet.
I'm going to talk about it.
I think this is a pure ending. I think this is a pure ending to the Toy Story saga. But it blows out Contagion, even though I think Contagion is great. Toy Story 3. Come on.
You heard it here. She thinks Contagion is Toy Story 3's diarrhea. You heard it here first.
Yep.
I am such a basic bitch. I watched Contagion at the height of the pandemic. And you know what I did after that to celebrate? I watched Outbreak. I'm not joking. I did it.
Nice.
I watched them both
Just
in 48
mercy.
hours because I'm fucked in the head.
Glutton for punishment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly though, it was good. It was good for me at the time because I was like, you know what? Worst case scenario is what it is. Let's go down swinging, and that's the moral of both of those movies. But Contagion, what I like about Contagion is its brevity. Outbreak's like 3 goddamn hours. Jesus, Wolfgang, please. But Contagion's like under 2, right? It's pretty short.
Yeah,
It's like an hour, like 42 minutes.
Considering how
It's
much it
tight.
deals with.
It's tight. It's too
And
tight.
Its cast is
It's too tight.
nuts.
Yeah.
And honestly, like because of the cast and the breadth of its subject matter, it shouldn't work as well as it does. I think it's as good as it can be for how short it is, for how immense it is in terms of what it's dealing with. But now that we're we're on the other side of it in so many ways, it's still resonant to look at this movie and realize all the things that it got right, the things it predicted. Outbreak got some of them right. Stephen King's The Stand gets some of it right. All right, like it's just the truth. And Toy Story 3, like what was so cool is like We had 1 and 2 in the 90s. They just snuck out 2 in the 90s. That was perfect, right? We got that in 99. That was beautiful. And I didn't think Toy Story 3 was going to happen for the longest time. And for it to come out and just crush it like it did was amazing. But I will say this. I'm voting for Toy Story 3. However, it would not be able to do what it did without this movie. Okay. All right. All right. So Brave Little Toaster, not streaming on the Disney Channel or Disney Plus, whereas these two pieces of shit, they are streaming.
Adam's DVD corner. This is we transitioned to a different show.
I own the entire Brave Little Toaster trilogy because I am committed to that franchise.
You're committed.
Yeah. Brave Little Toaster goes to Mars. Farrah Fawcett plays an actual faucet.
Here's the next
one.
Okay, no. Let me just say this about Brave. Okay, real quick, Jacob. The reason I bring it up is because there's a landfill scene in Brave Little Toaster where all the little appliances are afraid they're going to get killed. And Toy Story 3 does the same thing. It does it better, I'll admit it, but it borrows from it. Okay, Disney,
you can just see the Pixar team sitting in a room watching Brave Little Toaster.
Monsters University did this with an extremely goofy movie. Those two movies have the same plot. It's about college characters getting involved in like the X Games. I'm just saying.
In this essay, I will.
We'll make a video. We'll make a video on Champion.
If you like Toy Story 3, watch Brave Little Toaster.
All
right, last one.
All right.
Oh,
I'm actually going to give Adam the floor again because he loves this movie. Green Room vs. Ocean's 8.
Yes, Logan Lucky was a real fun movie, and I really. That's the one with Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
That is
okay.
Correct.
That was fun. I was not offended by
that. Sounded condescending.
I was not offended by Ocean's 8. Oh no, honestly, Ocean's 8, with all these amazing actresses together, that's the selling point. And they mostly pull it off. There's a lot of fun bits in this. I don't dislike Ocean's 8 at all. Green Room gave me Patrick Stewart as the devil, and I really like that. For what it's worth, last year I finally caught up with Blue Ruin, and if you like Green Room, you need to see Blue Ruin. People need to seek that out. The same director, really, really great. But what Green Room is so good at is it takes punk rock, it takes small town band gig life, which is a really specific slice of life. I grew up with some friends who played small town gigs. It's a real distinct vibe, and Green Room nails it. Green Room understands what it's like to be a small town band trying to just get a few more fans after one more show, and they run into Nazis essentially, and that sucks.
That does suck. When you're a little band, trying to get bigger.
But we talked about
you're running Nazis in the basement and they torture you.
We talked about Anton Yelchin a few weeks ago, and how great he is. He's excellent in this film. Patrick Stewart is excellent in this movie. I love the incidental Star Trek energy between, in terms of the casting here. Green Room's great. It gets my vote. But if you like it, please watch Blue Ruin. I watch it on Tubi because I watch everything on Tubi. Everything's on there, guys. Check it out. Green Room.
Khan.
Do I vote for the one with the late great Anton Yelchin, or do I vote for the one with James Corden in it? I don't hate Ocean's 8. I honestly thought it would be a lot worse than what we actually got, but I don't hate it. It just pales. I I have such love for the Ocean's trilogy that it had high standards to live up to it. It unfortunately didn't. So I will also pick Green Room. It's just I probably need to give it another chance because I don't think I was the biggest fan of it, just because the narrative kind of lost me a little bit towards the beginning. But I think Green Room is worth a watch. It's my vote.
Marisol?
Ocean's 8 is cute. Green Room. No more comments.
There we go.
Ocean's 8 is cute.
I am not
It's
going to
cute.
accept this Ocean's 8 slander on this stream. It is not happening on my watch. Absolutely not happening on my watch. Everyone can
love
be
Anne Hathaway. I love Anne Hathaway. in
Everyone
this
can be
movie.
wrong, and that's fine. Everyone's allowed to be wrong sometimes, okay? Because this ensemble of women, first of all, hot. If Mara, I'm going to borrow from Mara since she's not here. Moisture.
That'd be funny if Mara just popped on right now.
Okay. Like Kate Blanchett in her fitted suits. Damn. Anne
my
Hathaway in the
God.
whole
Yes.
movie. Damn. Bro, too hot. Something needs to be done about that. It was too much. But also keep going, if you know what I'm saying. This movie was so fun. All the women were so awesome and so fun and so sexy, and the fashion was awesome. And I was like, let me just be a girl and appreciate girls doing girl things by stealing some jewels and just doing some nonsense. And I love it. And it's so fun. And I'm voting for it. I don't care. I will be alone on my little Ocean's 8 island by myself where we appreciate Ocean's 8.
Well, given I haven't seen Green Room yet, I'll give you Ocean's 8's another vote. But Green Room does make it through, and that is our final one of the night.
Ocean's 2.
Guys, thank you so much for staying up with us. Adam, Marisol, it is 2 a.m. in the morning. Thank you very much.
We're in denial.
I'm in denial.
Where can they find you guys online?
Wait, hold on.
Sorry.
We got to do our preview.
You do the preview first?
No, we got to do
Okay.
our preview.
Do the
we got to
preview
do the
now?
preview.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So here are the movies for next week. We have 1917, Bad Times at the El Royale, Blue Valentine, The Book of Life, Crazy Stupid Love, Creed, Edge of Tomorrow, Fighting with My Family, Frozen, The Florida Project, First Man, Roma, First Man, Gone Girl, The Guest, Inception, Moana, The Other Guys, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Quiet Place, Roma, A Simple Favor, Sing Street, Source Code, Spotlight, Steve Jobs, Straight Outta Compton, The Town, Tron Legacy, Warhorse, Warrior, What We Do in the Shadows, and Your Name. Here are very, very quick.
Not a lot of black shit that week. Okay. I'm
Completely different.
I'm just saying.
That is a.
All right.
That is
Okay. Sorry, Steve Jobs.
Well, spoiler. Oh, okay.
What? What's happening?
Interesting.
What?
Two sci-fi movies.
Thanks, guys.
We're not as mad as last time.
It's more perplexing.
More perplexing, not mad.
I really thought there would be a higher reaction for that Inception one, but fair enough.
It's late.
Adam, Marisol, where can they find you guys online?
Champs on Film, YouTube, Instagram,
Champs on
Twitter.
We'll have some more coming. We just have our Oscar stuff right now.
Yes. Well, we had a lot to take in, man.
We had a lot.
We had
We're
to
taking a
digest
little
it.
break.
Yeah. So we're catching our breath. Hopefully getting back into our little wrestling show soon. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But check us out in the meantime. Thank you.
Khan, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Where can they find you online?
The King Khan on Twitter. You can follow me on Letterboxd for really dumb joke reviews about movies because I don't have anything deep to say.
Guys, until next week, we will be back on Sunday, 6 p.m. standard, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll be back to our normal.
Debating the Brave Little Toaster trilogy.
Exactly, that's what you're doing.
Yes.
Until then, guys,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you on the East Coast, if you stayed up watching this, we are
We appreciate
very
it.
thankful.
Yeah.
All right, we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Oh.